we just hit the top of the 1 o'clock hour on Wednesday, June 10th, and this is SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC in Upper Montclair, New Jersey. How you doing, everybody? I'm Sean McChesney alongside Tom Davis, who is once again with us. We have a packed show today, and Tom, thanks for coming along.
Happy to be here. Thank you for letting me.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime. And we got a lot of things to cover today. NBA Finals, Game 4 tomorrow. Cleveland will host Golden State. Cleveland currently up 2-1 in the series. And Sean Martin, the WMSC Sports Media Coordinator and lead contributor of NJSportsReport.com, will be on with us to discuss that. We'll have a lot of Mets and Yankees to cover and a lot of other things going around the MLB. You know, like a lot of surprising teams. For example, like the Houston Astros.
Oh, good God.
That we talked about earlier. They are just playing outstanding baseball.
Where'd they come from?
Out of nowhere. They were garbage for 2 years, and now all of a sudden they're leading the AL West by like 6 games. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of that to talk about.
I wonder if it's now that the American League is starting to get crappy and become equivalent to the National League.
I don't think it's that. I mean, Houston has a great farm system. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I don't know much about their farm system.
I know they have a good farm system, so that could be it as well. But, you know, going on their experiences the last few years since moving to the American League, they've been garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Didn't they win like 15 games last year?
15?
At one point, they
didn't finish with 15. Maybe like 70.
Okay.
15 wins. You shouldn't even be an MLB team. Oh, man. So we got a lot of MLB to discuss, but first...
Hey, didn't the Mets finish like 30 wins one year?
No. The worst they've ever done was like 60.
Okay. Close.
Where did you get 30?
I don't know. Half the year.
Oh, my God. Maybe at one point, half the year, but... Tom, come on. Use your head a little bit. 162 games, 30 wins.
Okay, I don't know how many games they play.
No team is that bad. So, we'll get to all that later, but first we will discuss the Stanley Cup Finals. We will have Mike Morreale on the phone with us at 1:30. He is an NHL staff writer on NHL.com. He will be on with us at the top of 1:30 to discuss the Stanley Cup Finals with us. So, just to preview what's going on tonight, Game 4 at the United Center in Chicago. Tampa Bay versus Chicago. Tampa up 2-1, which is honestly, I thought, very surprising at this point.
Yeah, I thought if anything, Chicago would be up 2-1. I mean, you expected Tampa Bay to at least have one win.
Yeah. You expected them to put up a fight, too.
Yeah.
And they did.
Especially with everyone saying, oh, Bishop's hurt, you'd think, all right, he's not going to play great. If he played at all, he's been playing outstanding. Yeah,
he comes into Game 3 not really addressing the media like he would really want to be and saying he feels like Marshawn Lynch's not talking to the press about his disclosed injury, like you said, you know, skate to the arm. Could be a lot of things wrong there, but instead he comes out in Game 3, and you knew he was hurt, you could tell, but 36 saves against a very good offensive team like the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Well, you can tell that just by watching some of the shots that he had saved even, that that arm's got to be hurting. Like, you watch the highlights, and they're saying, like, some of these saves, they're just hitting off his glove. Like, that glove must not be moving as fast as it was.
And you know, and it's
that one goal that Chicago had, it hit his glove and went in.
Yeah, and it's definitely shaping up to be a great series on both sides, actually. And, you know, Ben Bishop is having a great series so far. I mean, you know, last night proved it, 36 saves against a great offensive team like Chicago, who hasn't really been playing that well, but what they have been doing is containing Tyler Johnson to very limited shots. He's still currently the NHL leading postseason goal scorer. He has 13. I believe he scored last night.
Oh, yeah, he scored in the last game.
It was his first goal of the finals last night, his first in a while. And, you know, they've just done a great job containing him.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, they both play similar styles, but Chicago has more experience. They've been in this situation. I mean, I remember we talked about this before.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna shape up to be a great series when you look at it in that retrospect, that both teams, I feel, still have a shot to win the Cup. I still think it's gonna be Chicago, but, you know, the way Tampa's been playing,
you wouldn't be surprising to see them win.
You're right. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tampa win the Cup, but if I still had to pick, I would still say Chicago in 6 or 7.
I'd say Chicago, too, because they've proven that they can win on the road. but also so has Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, like we had said, is 8-3 on the road.
Yes.
That's their record. That's a great record. Most teams, like even the last series Chicago had with the Ducks, both teams went back and forth in wins. There's really no dominance at all, and you could probably see that happening with this series.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago most likely will win today because they're at home. So.
Well, don't sell them out so short yet. We said the same thing with the Rangers in the last series. Okay, Game 7, it's all Rangers, whatever, and then second straight shutout in the Garden.
I told you Tampa Bay was going to win that game.
Okay, you were maybe the only one in the New York area who might have said that.
That's because I don't like the Rangers.
I'm not going to count Sean Martin because he lives in, out of nowhere in Point Pleasant. So.
Out of nowhere.
he lives in the ocean, so... Everybody in that New York area who was a believer that the Rangers could win the Eastern Conference said that they would do it in Game 7, and they got shut out on their home ice for the second time in a row. So I wouldn't sell Tampa Bay short on the road because they played a lot better on the road than they played at home.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're right. But like I said, Chicago's been there. They'll get it done.
Yep.
They'll probably find a way.
Exactly, and it's definitely going to be a great series. I see it going 6 or 7.
I can see 7.
And just the way Patrick Kane has been playing, he's been, on and off a little bit. The way Tampa's been playing as well. Was it Game 2 or was it Game 3 that they said Kane had 0 shots? I think it was Game 2.
Okay, yeah, because they said he had no shots.
Yeah, and I think it was...
If he gets no shots during a game, you did something right.
And Game 2, it was a matter of... I believe Tampa won Game 2. Yes, Tampa won Game 2.
Did they?
But you know what the funny thing was? Chicago outshot them tremendously in the first period. Guys, we have to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. When we come back, we will continue our NHL talk. Back after this. And we're back on SMC Sports right here on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, and now with us, Alex Hand. Alex, welcome.
Everybody? What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. For those of you who don't know Alex, he was on with myself, Sean, and Craig on Craig's Call, where Sean and I got our starts. So he is now with us in the studio.
What a difference a few months can make.
Yeah, seriously. We seriously got to plan the Craig's Call reunion. I will have Craig in here. I'll have Sean in here.
Worst case scenario, we wait until the fall semester and you come back anyway.
Well, I'm going to be on Craig's show anyway in the fall, so
yeah.
So we'll do it then. But so we decided we'll transition to NHL at about 1:30 when we have Mike Morreale on. But in the meantime, Alex, anything going on in the NFL? I really haven't been paying much attention about it.
Mini camp has started for a fistful of teams. Most notably, the New York Jets have started mandatory mini camps. All new coaching staffs start today, among a fistful of others. The Cardinals started, is either today or yesterday that they started. Muhammad Wilkerson has returned. He's now practicing. He's not sitting out anymore. But quote from Sheldon Richardson is both him and Mo Wilkerson want to be paid Sioux money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
And
that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, what we'd like to start with, that's not going to happen. No tech is going to make that much money. And if he does, then he's the only good player on defense.
Yeah,
we obviously know forefront guys always get paid more because it's that much of a more intricate position. Because you blitz the quarterback and stop the run. That's pretty much it. When you're in a 5 tech and your nose tackle, you just 2-gap all day long. Every once in a while, they'll ask you to rush the passer, but for the most part, you're eating up blockers and messing up the line and letting the linebackers do the work. You crank my headphones up a little bit?
Yeah. And how's
Thanks,
that?
Bro.
Good?
Test. A little bit more. I like hearing my own voice. That way I can do the sound effects even better. Yeah, that's good. Sweet.
So when we and another thing I saw last week, Adrian Peterson reported OTAs in Minnesota.
Yes.
So
he supposedly has had a change of heart or change of mind, whatever. and realized that no team is going to pick him up, even the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The only team interested, but guess what? They were broke, so that wasn't happening.
And that's funny because this is a guy saying he was threatening to retire if he had to go back to Minnesota, and now he has a change of heart and goes back.
Because and I'm sure right now it's because it's the only team that's going to take him, the only chance he's going to have at getting a championship, because you got a great head coach in Mike Zimmer, in my opinion. You got a brand new franchise quarterback. The O-line needs a lot of work, but there's a lot of pieces coming together that in the next 3 years they should be able to at least defeat the Packers for the AFC or the NFC North.
Yeah.
But that's as we know, one of the toughest divisions in football.
Absolutely.
Next to the NFC West.
Yeah, and it's definitely an uprising team where in a few years they can be able to win that division, just not right at the moment.
Yeah, because the division leaders are going to be what it always is, which is A-Rod and the Green Bay Packers.
Detroit hanging on.
John Fox and the Bears.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That coaching staff is going to be scary, but they got a huge rebuilding process to go through.
But you know what? We said that all winter with John Fox and that new coaching staff in Chicago was going to be a big threat in the NFC North. We've been saying it all winter, all spring.
Well, you got him and, Vic Fangio's now controlling the defense, and I found out they're doing a true 3-4. They're not going to do a hybrid because, what previous speculation was with all these 4-3 players and the fact that John Fox is himself a 4-3 guy.
Yeah.
He's letting Vic Fangio control the defense. It's going to be a true 3-4. And you got Adam Gase controlling the offense and what he was able to do with Peyton Manning in Denver. He might be able to whip Jay Cutler into something. I don't see that happening. I see him going to get their new franchise guy in some way, shape, or form that isn't Cutler, nor is it Clausen.
Yeah,
but they're terrifying. Yeah, the Lions are in year 2 of this new coaching system, and the Vikings are still rebuilding. So that whole division is always a toss-up.
Yeah, and I remember a few weeks back, maybe about a month ago, you and Craig actually sat down and interviewed C.J. Conway. And I really haven't been paying attention to the results, but what were his results of rookie minicamp?
He was offered to come practice with them over the weekend when we shot that, which was like a Thursday, and he was going to be there Friday, Saturday,
It was right after Craig's call ended. It was like finals week.
Yeah, he sadly did not make it onto the team, nor of any type of practice squad, whatever they have going on. It's like about 90-ish players on every roster right now. He didn't make that. However, Rasheed Bailey of Delaware Valley, who was also in Montclair, Kane, Rowan's division, got a contract by the Eagles.
Oh.
And he's working out with them right now, and he's turning a lot of heads. From Mark Sanchez has been talking about him. Bradford's been mentioning him. Tebow, Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, a fistful of the coaches. He's obviously standing out, not just like, this D3 guy we picked up. Now he's going to play. He's actually making a name for himself. Plus, he's 6'2", 215.
Yeah. And for, obviously, Tom, you're probably a little confused. C.J. Conway was a cornerback at our college last year who was invited to Giants rookie minicamp this year.
To play safety, actually.
Safety.
They wanted him to transition to safety.
Okay.
But when you draft, I forget who their other guy was, but also when you draft Landon Collins, the strong safety's filled. That's a lock, as long as he's healthy. And I can't remember. I know they brought somebody else in that was not like, oh my God, it's him, but that's much better than... Sorry, but C.J. Conway could have been. Cause, he's good, and he's got great size, because C.J. Conway's like 6'2", 200, which is great safety size. But obviously didn't show enough. I mean, and you obviously know we have his back and everything. We were hoping that he was going to do it, and we asked him,
representing our school,
And we asked him, what do you think your odds are? And he's like, do you want to know honestly? Obviously, why else would? And he looks at us. He's like slim and none. That heartfelt moment. You're like, but the truth factor is right.
I mean, for him, it was probably an honor just to be invited. It was probably
when you're sitting down with Coach Coughlin and Spaz is back, Steve Spagnuolo is back at defensive coordinator, and the fistful of other guys they got over there. How could you not be hyped up to be?
Oh
there?
yeah.
He also was a Steelers fan, so it wasn't like, oh my, like Rasheed Bailey grew up in West Philadelphia, went to school for Delaware Valley. In a total, he's moved maybe 15 miles in his whole life, and now he's got an opportunity to play for the Eagles, which is his dream team.
It was a great situation. We saw him play all year. He played outstanding.
He's broken like every receiving record for Delaware Valley. It's an incredible dude.
Del Val came in opening week and whipped us. So
Yeah, then we went on like an 8-game
winning streak. We beat Rowan. We thought we had the NJAC right there, and then I believe we lost to Morrisville the next week and lost the NJAC.
Ruined all chances.
Yep, ruined all chances. Best we could do was a tiebreaker, and we knew we weren't going to win it.
As far as Cowboy stuff goes, Lyle Collins has been standing out fairly well, which is scary. But then again, that might be the only good thing that the Dallas Cowboys have going for them this season.
We'll see when that starts shaping up. But I did like the fact that, because, everything with Randy Gregory that happened that had him fall into the second round, I knew when he fell into the second round, Dallas was going to take him. Because there was
only one team
they're known for doing
that was going to take him.
Yep. And they're known for doing that. Des Bryant, obviously the biggest guy that has been done with that. So,
but he's panned out in the sense that they got him a babysitter and they got him somebody to keep, eagle eye on him constantly. For Randy Gregory, you're going to have to keep a sharper eye on him because you just look at what happened to Deion Jordan. This amazing 3-4 outside linebacker forced to play D-end in a forefront. You draft him at 248 and you're expecting them to bounce up to 275 at least. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not by the time week 1 happens anyway. And I'm sure because I don't know what their depth looks like. I haven't delved too much into it. But health concerns was huge last season. They lost so many guys early on during the summer. If a similar issue like that arises and they force him to play that, who's he going to beat? You got to play against Jason Peters twice a season. Who's Washington's guy? Their only man that they got. Well, you got Brandon Scherf on the right side.
Yeah.
Brandon Scherf's playing right, and you're going to have no, it's not Trent Murphy. That's their outside linebacker.
Dude, I've been so out of NFL the last few weeks. It's not even funny.
He's their main standout. He's a great left tackle.
Yes.
And he's got to practice against the Great Wall of Dallas in practice. And you got Eric Flowers going to probably play either left or right, depending on where they decide to line him up with their injuries in New York. So you got to play these guys twice a season. And if you're still only pushing 250, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And, he's going to get depressed, obviously, because that's going to happen. And just like Deion Jordan, you're going to try to balloon yourself up. You're going to get caught with drugs numerous times. You're going to be out of football, and eventually you're going to be labeled as a bust.
Yeah, you see. And I don't know what the whole thing is with drugs in the NFL, especially guys with Jameis Winston, who you're going to have to keep your eye on with stuff like that and keeping him out of trouble.
Well, what's scary right now is he's impressing a lot of people, which I feel might let them allow to be more lenient towards him, which is the last thing
you want to do.
Him.
Right.
He's still a loaded pistol, and you need to make sure that eyes are constantly. What did we say from day one? Give him the playbook. Make sure he memorizes the entire playbook by week 1.
Yep. And it's interesting because was it Winston and Mariota will play week 1 against each other. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Bomb so hard. I really like Mariota.
I love
really
Mariota.
Like him, but they're trying to wean him onto the pro style. They said that when they drafted him. Like, look, we're going to cater to his offense, but we will eventually wean him onto our pro style.
Yeah.
The kid's never played pro style in his life. Why would you draft a guy with the possibility that, he might be great doing this versus trading up or, not selecting that quarterback at all and taking who else was there? Leonard Williams was there. Dante Fowler was there. And a fistful of other guys.
There's a lot of other areas that they could have worked on.
It's a high risk, high reward. But you're drafting a quarterback. You plan on starting him week 1. He's not going to be able to continue the whole game because he's never played under center. He's never snapped the ball with 0 backfield. He has nobody to work with weapons-wise. Can you name who their running game specialists are?
No.
Didn't think so. They got DGB, but I think the size and the strength was a bit more hyped up as the draft was leading up because we got a lot of powerful corners in this league. Houston's secondary is immaculate.
And, Jalen Strong also falling way back in the draft more than I thought he would. I thought he could have been a great fit for Tennessee, but, at least giving him a weapon to work with was...
No, as far as what they should have drafted, but they didn't. And instead, Houston picked him up, which is going to pick up the slack for the loss of Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
But Tennessee's not looking too bright right now.
No, and I totally see Tampa winning that first game. That honestly, that game could end up on primetime.
Well, you saw what happened to Tampa, 2-14 under Lovie Smith. There's obviously got to be some kinks worked out, and I think once they understand what their role is and they sit back and okay, I'm going to do me. And then once we do that, then we can worry about what the other guy's job is, and we can assist on other plays and stuff like that. Once you do your job, the defense is made so much easier.
Yeah.
And there's not a doubt in my mind that Tampa's going to destroy Tennessee week 1.
No, Jameis is going to be ready week 1, but going back on him having to be out of trouble, like you're the number 1 pick in the draft. You're going to have everything going for you. Stay out of trouble. It's not that hard.
He's got crab legs at his draft party. I mean, come on now. The kid isn't exactly the sharpest. Apparently, he's brilliant for football.
But outside,
everything else,
he's not street smart.
It's those red flags. And it's the only red flag is that, okay, he's an idiot off the field in every aspect of the word. So that's the biggest red flag. Keep an eye on him at all times. And if you do that and just keep him on lockdown doing nothing but football, you'll have yourself a franchise quarterback, and hopefully he'll mature into something that you won't have to worry about, like a Donovan McNabb or, guys like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely a thing where they are going to have to keep a sharp eye on him, especially going into now mini camps and preseason and then eventually opening day in September. That'll be a fun Craig's call.
I mean, for the offensive side, there's no reason that Tampa shouldn't be at least decent this year.
Yeah.
You drafted 2 brand new offensive linemen. You got a brand new quarterback. You got Mike Evans coming back again. Vincent Jackson's looking to do well.
No, I thought Tampa had a great draft.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely probably one of the better ones that they've had. Probably one of the better ones out
Tampa
of the 32
had a good
teams.
draft. Atlanta had a really good draft.
New York, I thought, won the Jets. I thought they won the draft.
The Giants had a really good draft.
Giants had a great draft.
Jets, I would say,
Won the
actually
draft.
won it. But the Jets are looking good. Me and Craig actually just got done doing the what our predictions are. He's got the Jets going 10-6, which I think is a very realistic expectation.
I could see that.
I see them going at least 500. I don't see them being below that.
For what they have on defense, especially in their secondary now, the amount of weapons they have on offense, it's the only thing to worry about is quarterback issue. If Geno Smith can show more of those highlight stuff, or at least at the very be like a Joe Flacco during the regular season. Don't turn the ball over and just get the ball to your first read.
Yeah.
But he can actually run, so he can take off for an extra 15, go back, try to play again. So this is Geno Smith's last opportunity to try.
Yeah.
If he fails at this, I don't think he's going to make.
No.
He won't
Who
be
do
back
they
to the
have
Jets
for
anyway.
the backup, the Jets?
Ryan Fitzpatrick and Bryce Petty.
Okay.
So
Bryce isn't going to start.
No,
Unless
not
for
this year.
Serious injury, or they're getting blown
Yeah,
out.
Matt Sims just got dropped. He now signed with Buffalo, which I think could work out
he
in their
could easily
favor.
start.
He could easily start in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's got to beat out
EJ
Ryan-
Manuel and Matt Castle.
And Thigpen is there too, right?
Yeah, but I could see him beating him out.
He's got to be Matt Castle because it's not difficult to beat EJ Manuel out.
It's just a matter of do they want to start a veteran backup in place of Matt Sims. That's going to be the issue going into week 1.
Well, we've seen what Matt Sims does in the opportunities he has.
Yeah, he's
and
got
he will yell at the offense to get their act together. Like, he's not afraid. Like, I don't care if I was undrafted and I've only started. I've only come into 3 games in the 5 years I've been here. We got to do this way now.
He's got a cannon too, just like his father.
He does have a good arm. I was actually just saying on the show that he's going to be wearing the same color scheme as his dad did.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be something funky. But
Yep.
I actually had the Eagles, and I had an epiphany about this the other day. This is the record I'm picturing. And it's got a lot. There needs to be a lot to prove. But what I had laying in bed, 14-2
For the Bills?
for the Eagles.
Oh, for the Eagles.
I don't know.
I know. Keep in mind, this was mentally just one of those spark moments. I'm like, why does that seem very plausible to me? Like the 10-6 for the Jets, very realistic.
I see the
expectation.
Eagles doing well. I don't see them 14-2 though. I think
I
that's a
don't see-
little bit of a stretch, at least for right now.
Because to go on top of that, we see a lot of teams that will go on huge increases when they go like 10-6, 10-6, 10-6, and then they jump up to like 13-3. We see that a lot. So that's where I'm leaning towards. And also, Chip Kelly refuses to sit his starters. Like a lot of teams, once they go 13-1, they'll just play backups the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. Coming up, we will have Mike Morreale, NHL.com staff writer, on with us. We will be back right after this. All right, we're back here on SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, Alex Hand. Now on the phone, we have NHL.com staff writer Mike Morreale. Mike, you are on SMC Sports. What's going on?
What's going on, Sean? Glad to be a part of Montclair State Radio.
Thank you, Mike. We're glad to have you on as well. I'm with Tom Davis as well and Alex Hand. So going off the Stanley Cup Finals, I thought they've been great so far. Just give me your insight. What were your expectations going in? What have you thought of so far? And more importantly, what can you expect from both teams going forward?
Yeah, I think the series has been great so far, Sean. I mean, Tampa Bay obviously getting into the Cup Finals, somewhat a little bit of a surprise, but everyone knew the type of talent that they had entering the season. Prior to the season, in fact, the staff writers gave their predictions on who they felt would reach the Cup Final. I had Tampa Bay, Chicago in the final, but I did have Chicago winning the series in 6 games, and I predicted at that time Duncan Keith would win MVP. And what it's looking like right now, it's funny how things change, right, guys? I mean, here we are, 3 games into the Cup Final, Tampa Bay with a 2-1 lead. They've led for I think it was a little over 92 minutes of this series, and Chicago only has about 6 minutes of lead time through 3 games. But in a total of 180 minutes, the Lightning have scored 1 more goal in Chicago. So that's how close these teams have been. Victor Hedman for the Tampa Bay Lightning along the blue line has been absolutely extraordinary in this series. He's proving to be that number 2 pick that Tampa Bay Lightning had a few years back. He's coming into his own, particularly in these playoffs and in the Stanley Cup Final. He's just been a menace to the Chicago Blackhawks. And, you look at Chicago, and since Joel Quenneville, the coach there, took over, the Blackhawks were 30-30 in games 1 through 3 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But it's amazing in games 4 through 7, guys, there are 40 wins and 14 losses.
Wow.
But the only thing working against them here, that 13 times the road team has won game 3 to go up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and all 13 times that team has won the Cup. So it's going to be an interesting game 4 here. There have been some adjustments during the morning skate. I can give you a quick update here.
Yes, please.
Chris Versteeg will be in the lineup. Brian Bickle will be out. Bickle still suffering a case of vertigo. He missed games 1 and 2 with vertigo. He played game 3, but he'll miss game 4. And defensively, Kyle Comiskey will be out for the Blackhawks, and he'll be replaced on defense by Kimmo Timonen, the 40-year-old defenseman who came over from the Philadelphia Flyers. He'll be in the lineup. Looks as though Johnny Oduya, who was questionable with an injury, an unspecified injury, will be playing tonight for the Blackhawks on defense.
Yeah, no question. And honestly, we weren't even aware of all those stats going into the interview, so we're actually very impressed and actually surprised at all those stats that Tampa has going forward. But looking now at the series, it's 2-1 Tampa going into tomorrow night, or I'm sorry, tonight. I'm on NBA Stanley Cup. I don't know who's who. So, and one of the main reasons why I feel that Tampa has been winning these games is Ben Bishop. I feel he's one of the biggest contributors going in for this Tampa Bay team. He had 36 saves in Game 3, 76 in the finals. How do you think his play has been helping this Tampa team pull out crucial and close wins in the finals? And the rest of the postseason as well.
Yeah, no doubt, guys. I mean, Bishop has been unbelievable throughout the playoffs. You look at the goaltenders he's had to beat to get here. You think of Henrik Lundqvist. You think of Carey Price. Then you had to beat Peter Mrazek, who was an outstanding rookie with the Detroit Red Wings in the first round. So Bishop has been unbelievable in these playoffs, and he's doing it again against Corey Crawford and a real stingy, tough Chicago defense. He played. It seems like he played through an undisclosed injury in Game 3, guys. It kind of inspired his team there. His save percentage is .915 in the series, and Corey Crawford for the Blackhawks is under .900. So no question, you need your goaltending to be top notch. And it's not just the amount of saves that Bishop has made in this series. It's the quality of saves. The saves that your team needs at the big time. He's a big goalie, guys. He's able to move across the goal line and get the job done when he stacks the pads. And he's obviously a big reason why Tampa is where they are right now. And give credit to Andrei Vasilevsky, the backup, the Russian backup who came in Game 2 and was able to help Tampa Bay get the win there. Before Bishop came back in Game 3, played a full game, was able to make 35-plus saves, and now Tampa is where they are, and Bishop has played a real big part in that.
Yeah, now you mentioned the injury to Bishop. Do you think this has like a big effect on Tampa Bay down the line? Because, I mean, you could clearly see he was moving a lot slower than he had in past games.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you saw that in the last game, right? I mean, it seemed like when he was down, he struggled to get back on his skates. But, he's still making the saves. And the thing is, he's such a big goalie. I mean, it's very tough to work the puck around him. What Chicago is going to have to do, particularly with an injured Bishop in net, is to get more traffic in front. I mean, if he can't see the puck, it's going to be very difficult for him to make those last-second saves. And that's what has made him look so strong in these playoffs, the ability to make the big saves. So I think if the Blackhawks can get traffic in front of him, more traffic, get those shots on net, crash the net for some rebounds, they might be able to have a little more success here in Game 4, a game they desperately need because you don't want to go back to Tampa Bay down 3-1.
Yeah, that'd be a really hard thing to pull out if you're going back to Tampa Bay 3-1.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, right now it seems like, but this is something that Chicago's been used to, guys. It's they faced adversity. They faced the same deficit in the last round against the Anaheim Ducks. They were down by a game, 3-2, and won their last two games. And then in the 2013 Cup final against Boston, it was the same thing, and they were able to rally back. So this is a point in the series where it gets real for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, the Chicago
one
Blackhawks
day you win a game in the first round and you get that feeling that you're going to go all the way to the Cup and nothing can stop you. And the next day you lose, and all of a sudden that thought crosses your mind that, better luck next year. But in the case of the Blackhawks, they just need to stay the course. They're a veteran team. They've been down this road before. They've won 2 Cups. They've got a Stanley Cup winning coach on their bench there that knows what it takes to get it done. And, let's face it, guys, it's only a matter of time before Jonathan Toews, the Chicago Blackhawks captain, and Patrick Kane get on track a little bit here. Neither player has scored a goal in the first 3 games of this series, and they played such a vital role in the opening 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs. In fact, Kane is a -2 with 6 shots in 3 games. That's un-Kane-like for him in big spots like this. So I would expect Toews and Kane to really push the pace here in Game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel personally that those two, Toews and Kane, are the 2 biggest contributors for the Blackhawks this season, or 2 of many, but in the first 3 games of the finals, they weren't necessarily themselves, and I feel like that's another big reason that Tampa jumped out 2-1. But now, you were mentioning that it's a must-win tonight for Chicago in Game 4. They don't want to go back to Tampa down 3-1 because that's where Tampa's going to smell blood. But looking at Tampa's road record, very impressive, 8-3. How do you think that's going to favor them in Game 4 tonight?
Yeah, I think it favors them very well. I mean, they have nothing to lose, right? They've already done what they need to do, and that was win on the road. They got that one back that they lost in Tampa Bay, so they're in the driver's seat right now. So right now they're looking at icing on the cake if they can win this one here tonight. So let's face it, guys. I mean, the Lightning have a great team, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, they're very deep down the middle of the ice. I mean, the kid line with Andre Palat and Nikita Kucherov, centered by Tyler Johnson, has been outstanding in these playoffs. Cedric Paquette has done a wonderful job. He scored the game winner in Game 3. He's the guy that's been shutting down Jonathan Toews in this series. That third line has done an outstanding job with Ryan Callahan. Of course, the trade they got with Marty St. Louis from the New York Rangers. And then the fourth line, Jonathan Drouin. It's nice to see him get some playing time for the Lightning. Brian Boyle, another Rangers man that's been getting the job done. And then, of course, you talked earlier about Victor Hedman and his partner, Anton Strawman, yet another Ranger who's done an outstanding job for the Tampa Bay Lightning this year. So they've got a real nice lineup, across the board in Tampa Bay. I think John Cooper has done an outstanding job as the head man there. He seems to have settled the group down whenever things look a little bit out of whack, and it looks like, the pressure might be getting the best of them. The Lightning respond big time, as they did in Game 7 against the New York Rangers at MSG, which was the first loss for the Rangers at MSG in a Game 7 in their history. So that was pretty remarkable that Tampa was able to go in there, get the job done. So, yeah, pressure doesn't faze the Tampa Bay Lightning, and there's no doubt that they have a shot to win this game and go up 3-1 heading back to Tampa. And wouldn't that be a scene in Tampa Bay if they're able to go back 3-1 with a chance to win the Stanley Cup on home ice?
Absolutely, and going back on the Eastern Conference Finals for just a minute, if Tampa were able to get 3-1 in Tampa Bay, that arena would be rocking all night long. If they could be down 4-0, and they would be like, we want the cup. But, looking at this entire series, you're right. Tampa has a great team all around. They have nothing to lose going into tonight. They're already up 2-1. They have a great road record that's going to favor them proudly. And now looking at one of the key players for Tampa who's kind of been having a slow series, at least with scoring goals, is Tyler Johnson, leading NHL goal scorer with 13 goals, and I believe he scored his first one last night. But I feel that with Tampa now having Chicago right, in the corner where they want them, I feel like Game 4 tonight is going to be the night that Tyler Johnson comes back.
Yeah, he could. I mean, Tyler Johnson could come back. And isn't that a nice story, guys? I mean, he's an undrafted player. He comes out of college and is able to get the job done. Obviously Tampa Bay signs him as a free agent. He, goes through the system, through the American Hockey League, earns his keep on the big club, and here he is starring an undersized type player. It's always good to see those small players get the recognition they deserve. Tyler Johnson is certainly one of those players. He just goes all out every shift. And the thing about the smaller players in the NHL, if you watch them skate, it's about smarts, guys, because if you're small, it's very tough to get around those big players. So you have to be smart on where you are on the ice without the puck, where you go with the puck. And Tyler Johnson is one of those players that knows how to do both, and he does both very well. He knows how to get into the open ice. He knows how to retrieve passes without, having a big guy in front of him to lay him out. And when he gets in close, in tight, on the goalie, he's got those quick hands where he's able to make the shifty moves and go in for the goal. So Tyler Johnson is definitely one of my favorite players to talk about, and obviously the story behind him and how he got into the NHL is an inspiration for anyone who wants to play the game that might be under 5'11".
Yeah, it's definitely a great story, and he had an outstanding series against the Rangers, without a question. I'm a pretty big Rangers fan myself, and I even have to tip my Broadway hat to him. He had an outstanding series against the Rangers, and I feel if there was any team in the playoffs that was going to beat this Rangers team, who was very favored to go to the Stanley Cup Finals, it was the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have a great team all around, great defense, one of the best offenses in the NHL, and personally I feel like that, and I still am going with Chicago in my pick, but, Tampa Bay has really proven a lot of people wrong going into Game 4 tonight, and pretty much they have all the momentum in their corner.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, they do have a lot of momentum, and Chicago is going to have to turn that around and turn it around quick. And one of the keys in tonight's game, too, I mean, we've seen throughout the playoffs with the Chicago Blackhawks, Coach Joel Quenneville has opted to go with just 4 defensemen because he hasn't really trusted his fifth and sixth defenseman on the roster, and it's kind of changed game in and game out. So, primarily the Blackhawks have been going with Duncan Keith, who's been a monster in these playoffs, 30-plus minutes a game, which is incredible. Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Johnny Oduya, and Brent Seabrook have been the 4 defensemen that he's used primarily throughout. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, the Middletown, New Jersey native, saw some action in Game 3. I thought he played very well, made a nice representation of himself, and I think Van Riemsdyk will get some more ice time in tonight's game. Watch him. He's a good skater, slick, is good along the sidewall, and can make those nice passes down low to his teammates for scoring opportunities. And obviously tonight we'll see Timo Timonen, the veteran that they traded for from the Philadelphia Flyers. So I think it's imperative that Quenneville try at least to get the 5th and 6th defensemen involved, give those top guys a break, because let's face it, and as we discussed earlier, Tampa Bay is a very fast team, and they close in on you very quickly. Once they cross that red line, that center ice area, it's 1, 2, 3, and they're in on top of the goalie. They're in on top of Corey Crawford. So it's imperative that the defense make the crisp transition passes, get the puck out of the zone ASAP, and start their own transition up ice, because the Blackhawks are pretty quick when they get the puck over the red line as well. So it's going to be interesting. Quenville needs to use that 5th, 6th defenseman. Watch how he does that tonight, because you can't keep relying on the big four all the time. There comes a point where it's going to get tiring, and obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning are a much faster team than the Blackhawks have faced in these playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, Tom, do you have anything else to add? All right. Well, before
no. All right,
Mike, before we let you go, just as of right now, if you could give a prediction as of right now for what you've seen, who is your pick to win the Stanley Cup Finals?
I'm going to say Blackhawks in 7. I initially said Blackhawks in 6. Obviously, that's going to be a tough spot. If Chicago can win tonight, there's a chance that could happen. But I do see this series now going 7, because I do think the Blackhawks are going to win tonight. I think it's going to be another one-goal tight contest. And I see this being, a tight contest throughout for the remainder of this series. It's going to be tight checking. There might be another high-scoring game in here somewhere. I think defensively, Chicago's going to shut her down today. And offensively, I do see either Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves having a big night. So that's why I think Chicago is going to win tonight. But I think it's going to be close, probably another one-goal game. But I'm still sticking with my guns. I'm going to take the Blackhawks, but instead of 6, I'll go 7 this time, and maybe they'll win it on Tampa Bay's home ice, win their 3rd Stanley Cup.
Definitely a great prediction, and, I kind of have to agree because, Tampa has the momentum currently, but Chicago's a very experienced veteran team that's been here before, and going out against this Tampa Bay team who has, don't get me wrong, a great road record, but again, they are on their home ice, and that does say the difference in a lot of these key situations. So if I had to pick as well, I would also say Blackhawks in 6 or 7. Tom?
As usual, I'll be the odd one out. I'll go with Tampa Bay.
You're always the odd one out.
I have to be the different one. But like you were saying, how there could possibly be a high-scoring game, I agree, because you've seen in the first round for the Blackhawks, Crawford didn't play every game. They at one point pulled him because he was letting in all these weak, cheap goals. So who knows? You might be seeing that Crawford again.
Absolutely.
And I think one more thing, guys, is the fact that, as you mentioned earlier, Sean, there's always that chance that Tyler Johnson may break a game open. Once he gets going, you never know. 2-3 goals can come off his stick, as is the same case with Taves and Kane. I mean, these guys have been held without a goal in this series, so it's just a matter of time before one of them break out. So that said, I mean, yeah, you would expect there to be a high-scoring game at some point again in this series, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely, and we haven't really seen it much this series, but Tampa is one of those teams that knows how to take advantage of every power play that they have, and you saw that in the Rangers series. Mike, I thank you so much for calling in and giving us your insight. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, guys. Best of luck to you guys, and go Red Hawks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Mike Morreale, NHL.com staff writer. So a lot of great insight on him. A lot of facts that we didn't even know about going into Game 4 tonight.
You probably shouldn't know about.
We probably you're right. We probably
should have done some research.
I mean, I did, but it was just
not enough.
A lot of things that you probably wouldn't find on a regular website.
Not should.
Oh,
have.
shouldn't.
No.
Oh, shouldn't. No. Okay. I was like, Alex, come on, man. You got to defend me a little bit.
Put $20,000 on the Blackhawks. What? Why are you telling me this? Never mind.
I mean, you're a staff writer. You're not a gambler.
Where am I supposed to get $20,000? I know they're gonna win, but where am I getting the $20 million?
Just do it. Just do it. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break here. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this. Back here on SMC Sports on WMSC, Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, Alex Hand in the studios. Alex's first appearance on SMC Sports.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And my phone's blowing up.
Yep. Now on the phone we have WMSC Sports media coordinator and leading contributor for NJASportsReport.com, Sean Martin. Sean, you're on SMC Sports. What's going on?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Thanks for coming on as usual. Sean's always on every week to provide some great insight. So, Sean, we just got done with an interview with NHL.com staff writer Mike Morreale. He gave us a lot of insight on the Stanley Cup Finals and how it's been so far and what it's going forward like. Game 4 is tonight. Tampa's up 2-1. What are your expectations going forward?
Well, I think tonight, no matter which way you look at it, it's a must-win game for Chicago, and they've been in this situation a lot before. So, I think when you start with them and what we expect from them tonight, it's what we expect from them pretty much every game. But they need their superstars to start stepping up and carrying this team. They've had third and fourth line guys being able to score for them so far this postseason. But when you need a big win, especially when you're playing a Tampa Bay team that's been great defensively, something that I didn't think that they could be this good defensively, this consistently, but they have been. Takes a large part to Ben Bishop, of course, who's played great. When you're facing a goalie that's as hot as him, a defense that's, a defense that's as determined as the Tampa Bay defense, you need your best players to make an impact on tonight's game, and that's what I expect. Guys like Taves, Kane, Seabrook, Hossa, I expect those guys to have a big game tonight. And if they don't, they definitely could be in trouble. Tampa Bay obviously wants to go home with a 3-1 lead, so it's a must-win game for Chicago, and they need the best players to step up, finally here in the postseason. And then they'll get production from some of those secondary guys, and hopefully, for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and Mike Morreale said the same thing, about all that, of how Taves and, Kane need to step up tonight if Chicago's going to pull out a win, because it is must-win for Chicago, because if they lose tonight, they go down 3-1 going into Tampa, and we understand that Tampa has a much better road record than a home record going into this postseason, but 3-1, Tampa is a team that's going to smell blood and is going to capitalize in Game 5.
It's also going to be hard to come back and win 3 in a row.
Yeah. At some point, it's going to win a game for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you just said, Tom, it is very hard for a team to come back and win 3-1. The Rangers have done it twice in the last 2 years, but you don't really see that in the finals, especially in a finals caliber like this.
And especially against a team that is playing very well.
Absolutely. And just a quick weather update here at Montclair. It's hot.
Warm.
It's warm. 82 degrees.
It's warm for me. It's hot for you guys.
Yeah. But
I don't know how you're wearing jeans.
I live like a lizard.
He wears jeans every day. It could be 90. He's wearing jeans.
I was wearing jeans this morning.
It's mostly because I don't own shorts until yesterday.
Way too hot.
Sean, you're aware too. Alex Hand's always wearing jeans.
Well, when we were shooting up here, it hadn't gotten warm
until the end. Yeah, you're right.
Like the last week, and even then, it wasn't warm enough for me.
Yeah. Here's Alex Hand.
That campus is never warm, so.
It's warm enough when it's during a heat wave, and I can literally just wear my board shorts and nothing else.
Yeah. So that's your weather update here at Montclair. So for once, it's warm on campus. It'll be cold probably again in October when we're barely here yet. So that'll be a lot of fun. So
you move in August. You'll be here in October.
Meaning it's going to take like literally no time for it to get cold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you'll walk in day 1 and it's snowing.
I told myself I'm making everything fit in my car. I'm not bringing any extra stuff. I'm just bringing cooking supplies, my bed stuff, and like the least amount of clothing.
After the move out that I had to do, I will never bring that much crap here again, ever.
You learn real quick.
I learned real quick.
That took forever.
It took me forever to move out, and it took me forever to get everything organized in my room. I finally finished like 2 days ago. Yeah, that's because I was lazy and didn't want to do it until then.
That's why I enjoy being a commuter.
Yeah, you got that one advantage.
Yeah, but then you can't park.
Yeah.
And you have to wait at lot 60
That's the first thing we always
for a
say.
show.
Well, he goes to Felician.
I go to Felician.
He doesn't go here.
There's no like.
Isn't that small one that's got like the graveyard in the back? That's
yeah,
all Catholic?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. There's 2 campuses.
Sean wouldn't know. He lives in Point. And he doesn't know anything for sports. That's why Alex knows.
This is the greatest statement of all time.
No, it was
great that feels knowing that. You could. I write for sport companies. That's not enough to have another dude say it on a radio show. There we go. Are you serious? Why do things keep breaking in the studio?
Mic 1's broken. So it's funny though.
Yeah, it's guest 1. You got host Mike 1.
Ah, true. It was funny, though, when they were doing the DJ tests a few weeks ago, they asked Sean to call in on one of the shows, and he goes, I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, well, don't talk about sports. He goes, I want to talk about sports.
I don't know what they call for a music show. Like, you don't, like, get...
Well, you can talk about music. Talk about the Baja Man, whatever it is you listen to. Talk about Smash Mouth, whatever it is.
Are you kidding me? Baja Man.
However behind in the times you are, as I try to fix this
Real quick, we just hit the 2 o'clock hour on 90.3.
Oh, thank Christ for that.
90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey, as we're talking about stuff completely irrelevant, which is awesome. But no,
usually how we kill about 45 minutes of time.
Easily. We used to do it all the time, but... Sean was like, Sean, you call him instead. I'm like, you really have nothing else to talk about?
Do what I do. Do SpongeBob quotes, like quotes from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
It's like you don't even...
Angry Beavers. Just come up with something.
Not to mention that the person I called didn't even know how to answer the phone. I was on air when I was asking, am I on air?
I don't even know how to answer the phones. I've told you that one. I passed the DJ test years ago. But I never figured out how to get the phones correct.
It's funny because because now it's like you have to know how to answer the phone. You have to know how to
hang on, let me transfer your call.
Yeah, and now you have to know how to provide outgoing calls because especially for situations like today when the phone line is down. So
para español, 12. I don't speak Spanish, but you're gonna love this part.
So real quick, Sean, before we transition into NBA and then eventually other things,
go Sixers.
Go Sixers.
Keep sucking so I can only pay $20 for floor seats.
Just real quick, Sean, going off what you've seen so far in the finals, as of what you've seen right now, going into tonight, Tampa up 2-1, who's your pick to win the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah, this is a hockey, dude. That's what we're talking about now.
I think Chicago is going to... I do think Chicago is going to win.
I'm the only one with Tampa.
You are.
Am I the only one that has
well, if the Tampa Bay Rays, you're forcing them to come out and put hockey skates on. Of course, the other dudes are going to win. It's rocket surgery.
For one, Sean, I do have to agree with you. I'm saying even though that Tampa does have the momentum, I still think it's going to be Chicago in this series.
And once again, Sean, you'll be wrong and I'll be right. Ugh.
I don't know. This is the only Dallas Cowboys fan I respect and is generally right for most things.
He was wrong about the Rangers.
Unless it's associated with the Eagles.
So were other 20,000 New York Ranger fans who packed the Garden for Game 7.
Hey, you fought me tooth and nail that the Rangers were going to win.
I wasn't
the only... stats in my face, and I'm like, forget stats.
So I wasn't the only Ranger fan.
Forget your non-important but factual stats as if they mean anything.
Yeah, I'll throw stats at you. 6-3 on the road. Now 8-3.
I thought you were gonna say stop at 6-3. I'm like, you mean 8-3, right?
Yeah, they were at 6-3 going into the Garden. Then we beat you to make it 7-3. Why am I saying we? I wasn't even there.
Don't you forget
I'm not even a Lightning fan.
Yeah, I remember
every other home game.
I remember smoking some loud, but I don't remember helping the.
Every other home game, Bishop gives up like 4 or 5 goals, so that's eventually coming soon too. So
yeah,
Bishop has been hot.
He has been, but you have seen his
the Archbishop of hockey has been hot.
No, but Sean,
you
have seen how he plays at home. Literally every other game, he gives up like 5 or 6 goals. So if he can stay away from that, Tampa should be good to go. But you're right, he has been having a great series. 36 saves in Game 3
with a bum arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
he looks like Sean playing baseball.
Hey, I had a great arm. Okay,
so
what if
I'm the left bench?
I am saying had because I haven't
when you sat at that left bench.
I haven't played in a year, so of course I'm going to say had.
Sean, I hadn't played in 3 years. I went and played softball, and I was able to hit the catcher at home. I still have my arm.
Oh, okay. Is that how it is?
You guys playing first string bench?
I played center bench. I was the star.
That's an important position in the high school game.
First string pinch runner.
Someone that covers high school baseball, the center bench position is always very important.
Hey, Sean, listen to this. First string pinch runner. That was me. Just saying.
Yeah,
if you couldn't hit, but you could run. That's
I
all
could
you
run.
did.
I could run. I could field. I couldn't hit.
Somebody's slow on first base. All right, Sean, you're out. Let's go.
This is the most meaningless conversation we've had on my show ever.
We're talking about sports at least.
It's baseball, even though we started with hockey and we were doing other random stuff. But bouncing off the baseball for the pinch runners, we had one guy. It was the greatest duo in high school of all time. Mark Gaskell weighed 300 pounds, but was only like 5'8". The dude was huge. But he would pop these amazing deep balls. They are doubles, almost triples to anyone else. To him, it was a single because he wasn't running the whole thing. You take him out, you put Deuce in. Deuce runs base to base in about 3 seconds flat. You swap him out, and that's all we did, game day in and day out.
It's like Bartolo Colon hitting a ball into the gap. let me be the first to say, I don't know what...
And that his helmet actually stayed on when he got to first.
Let me be the first to say, I don't know what the hell Ichiro was doing in center field. He looked like a little leaguer trying to cut off the ball.
Oh, yeah, the Colon double.
I was like, let's watch him run. No, I'm not...
Do you hear the commissioner of baseball? He was just up in the Yankees are playing right now. He was up in the booth talking to Michael Kay, the yes announcers. And
did he give a briefcase of money to somebody?
Who? Wait, Rob Manfred?
They asked him if we'll ever see a DH in the National League, and he said no because he likes watching Bartolo Colon hit.
It's a good statement, but I honestly, if I had to choose one, I wouldn't have a DH in the NL either.
You wouldn't?
No.
Why not?
I like seeing the pitchers hit, and especially for entertainment
I don't like
like
the
that.
pitchers hitting.
I mean, it's
I don't
definitely
like the pitchers
debatable.
hitting just because it's an automatic out half the time.
Well, if you
If
can
you owned a
bunt,
baseball team, something tells me you wouldn't have a DH.
Yeah, I'm
but
going to
you'd
go
have
up there and bunt with 2 outs.
The job is to pitch.
you're right, and that's definitely a debatable argument. But
If
it could go
McChesney
either
ever
way.
owned a baseball team, you wouldn't have a DH, you'd have a DD for every post-game victory.
Oh man,
Martin's still trying to catch that joke.
hold on, drop. So yeah, that was our meaningless conversation. It's probably going to go on as the next 2 hours go on, but
Pretty much.
yeah, let's transition a little bit, Sean, into the NBA Finals, and Game 3.
I'm going, and I'm going to show everyone that I can play basketball, and I'm going to dunk on LeBron.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever, that's not going to happen. I have no
Okay,
hops at
you're
all.
like
I have-
six- You're like-
get called out by everybody in the entire world.
Tom, you're like 6 foot, and you can't jump more than an inch.
I'm sorry, I have like one
Do you
good
forget,
leg.
out of all the leagues, out of all, that you got hockey, your 4 core sports: baseball, football, hockey, basketball. Basketball dudes are the most competitive, and you could be a cancer patient at 6 years old. They are not letting you score on them.
That's true.
They will refuse to let you score on them because for years they've been suppressed to not let anyone pass them.
Yeah,
Cold, harsh truth of the National Basketball Association.
I'm just going to
They
stick
just
to
like,
hockey.
boom! You think this is a game? Come on, pick up your sticks. Let's go.
Oh man, it's definitely true. But now looking at Game 3 last night, Sean, I thought it was a good game for Cleveland. Definitely, I don't know what has gotten into Steph Curry, especially coming into the first half. 3 points in the first half.
That's the light skin in
Has
them.
gotten into Steph Curry, and it's improbable for people around the NBA, but people in Cleveland will probably tell you that they expected this all along, and that's Matthew Dellavedova has gotten to Steph Curry. The improbable fill-in for Kyrie Irving has really stepped up, and just the theme so far this series for the Cavaliers, you hear them all saying it. You heard LeBron sound like a broken record with it last night. Defensively, their mindset, they're not. It's not a lot of technical stuff, or at least not a lot of stuff that they've expressed. It's really just they're trying to make it hard on Golden State, get a hand up on their shooters, just play tough physical defense and use their size. And it's something Golden State really hasn't seen so far in the regular season too often. Of course, they tore through the regular season. Something they haven't seen necessarily in the playoffs. Maybe Memphis, but of course Memphis didn't have a LeBron James type player, a guy who can beat you on the offensive end as well. And that's really what was the downfall of the Grizzlies in that series. So they're not used to this. Yes, they're good enough to adjust, but right now it's working for Cleveland, and they're going to be able to have success with it and hang around for the rest of the series, I believe, with the way they've played defense and with the way Dellavedova has just been a scrappy player, diving on loose balls and defending well on Curry.
Yeah, no question. And Curry, I feel, has to wake up, especially in the first half. That's why Golden State was down 17 points, or around there in halftime. Cleveland absolutely dominated the first half. But one of the constant themes that I have seen in all 3 games, and even though Cleveland is up 2-1, they have so much trouble putting away this Golden State team in the fourth quarter. You take a look at Game 1. Game 1 they lost. Game 2 they barely got by. Last night they only won by 5. They are having such difficulties putting this team away in the fourth quarter, and I personally feel if they keep that up, it's going to haunt them.
Yeah, they heard LeBron James say the same thing, that, it's definitely going to haunt them. They're going to drop the game. They have a lot to work on, he said, and a lot of stuff to fix. I mean, let's face it, when you have players who have been known to be kind of the, boneheaded type guys like Pharaoh Smith, these mistakes are going to happen, but in the NBA Finals, it's something you got to get corrected quickly and something you don't have much tolerance for, like you would in the regular season. But, I mean, Golden State's probably the best team in the league at, scoring points in a hurry. So they're going to be able to battle back in the games. Steph Curry, you can't keep him down the entire game. Last night they got back into the game by him hitting some improbable shots that, shots that just flat out weren't going in earlier in the game or earlier on in the series in the first two games. So, you kind of just have to tip your hat and continue to play through it, and it's what Cleveland did, but now they have to make the adjustments, make sure something like that doesn't happen again. And it starts with the simple things, turnovers. You had Iman Shumpert throwing the late out inbounds pass last night directly to Curry, who couldn't make him pay with the three on the other end. So, simple stuff like that is easily fixable, and it's something that they're going to be working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Game 4 is definitely shaping up to be a great one in Cleveland, and I feel Cleveland has a lot of momentum going into it. But it's the same argument when it comes to Tampa and Chicago. I feel it's only a matter of time before Golden State wakes up, before Curry wakes up and goes back into his rhythm. Klay Thompson will eventually go back into his rhythm. And, Cleveland's already proved a lot of people wrong. When Kyrie Irving went down in Game 1, a lot of people were like, LeBron by himself, they're getting swept. And they won Game 2, and then they won Game 3. And now, personally, Sean, just going off your personal opinion, if Cleveland wins this series, will this be LeBron's biggest achievement of his career?
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, easily.
I mean, the entire thing, all career for LeBron James has been when he's been on an average team, back with his first run with Cleveland, can an above average, obviously an above average LeBron James make up for, below average to average players and take them to an NBA final? And the answer was always a resounding no. And, then, of course, that sparked the whole argument. Michael Jordan was able to bring, sub-adequate players, which isn't really that true, but, we won't get into that. And then he, for the most part, no matter how good you are in this league, the best players have always needed other great players to win the championship. And that was, it was the case with LeBron. It's not a knock on him, but now here's his chance to kind of deal it with basically the Knicks, the former Knicks, recycling bin, you could call it, with their former players that didn't work out, and a couple other scrappy players like that was it's over. So if he can win 2 more games in this series, not only bring a championship to Cleveland, but do it against a Golden State team that's this talented and this skilled, it's the greatest accomplishment in his career, and I doubt anything he does afterwards would even surpass it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this final is definitely more different than the others, especially because all of Cleveland's top guys have gone down, the top 2, Irving and Love. So if LeBron can win this series, I'm not saying all on his own, but he is going to be given all the credit if Cleveland takes the series. We're going to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. Coming up, we'll be discussing more NBA, more NFL, MLB at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this.
Hi, this is Ed Helvey, founder of Montclair State Radio way back in 1966. And you're listening to 90.3 FM WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Still the voice of Montclair State.
Makes you feel happy like an old-time movie. I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul, but it's like trying to tell
All right, we're back on SMC Sports on here at WMSC. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, Alex Head in the studio, Sean Martin on the phone.
What up, what up, what up?
What's going on, guys?
Nadia.
Sean, that was kind of pointed towards you, too. You're on the air.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Yeah, when he said that we're going to come back after commercial break, you were still supposed to be involved.
I'm here. I'm just watching the Yankees give up.
And I'm sure he's doing other stuff on his laptop.
Anyway.
No one back to sports.
Well, we're not going to admit that on there. We will go back to sports. So
We just did. What are you talking about?
you got. Wait, what's it? If you're on roids, you can do anything.
Station shout out, xnxx.com's where it's at.
So
He knows what I'm talking about.
So we just. What was it? We left off on NBA.
Something about LeBron.
Yeah, it was something about LeBron. It was his greatest achievement if he could, not single-handedly, but the way the media is probably going to put it, single-handedly win this NBA final by himself. Personally, I would have to agree. If he is able to win the NBA finals this year without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, two of the guys who probably helped them get there, along with LeBron, if he can basically do this, as they're going to point out, on his own, it has to be his greatest finals win of his career.
Oh, yeah, easily. Because with all the other teams, he had Wade and Bosch basically do a lot of the work. Even though Wade missed about half of the year when he was there.
Sean, what do you think?
I definitely think it would be the best achievement of his career. I think you made an interesting point with, saying the way the media would put it is that he single-handedly carried him because it would be kind of unfortunate to see guys like Delaware Dover, who I was just talking about, and Tristan Thompson and those guys. It would be unfortunate to see those guys probably get overshadowed and not get a lot of credit for
Tristan Thompson
the contributions they had. Obviously, they didn't carry the team to the finals like LeBron would have done, but they were significant enough to make an impact in the series and help win it with what LeBron had to work with. So, those guys are definitely contributors. Delaware Dover will always live on as a fan favorite. He's just one of those guys that the crowd goes crazy for, and fans are starting to love from around the NBA. So, it'll be him and LeBron as the two, guys to take Cleveland to their first pro sports championship in a long time, and one of them obviously likely and one of them very unlikely. So it'd be a great storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way you just said that Cleveland's first pro championship, I just realized you would be right. That hasn't happened in Cleveland in a very, very long time.
Yeah, they've had, the Indians haven't been good. Browns obviously haven't been good. It's been a lot of losing years for the Cleveland sports teams.
Yeah, no question. And just kind of looking at the NBA Finals going on tomorrow will be Game 4 from Cleveland. Golden State will face Cleveland. Cleveland is up 2-1. And, and it's not like everybody's saying that, it's LeBron James because it's LeBron James. We're saying it's LeBron James because in the first 3 games he has played absolutely fantastic. Pretty much, almost 40 points a night. He had a triple-double in Game 2. He was very close to it last night. Just the way that LeBron James has been playing has kept Cleveland in the series. Honestly, if he had played like how he did against the Spurs last year, this could easily be 3-0 Golden State going into tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing that's so interesting about, when you say the way he's been playing, it's really been, different styles that he's been able to use. He's simply put, he's done what this team has needed him to do. In the first 2 games, it was, okay, we're not going to get the scoring we need on the road. I'm going to be a scorer and go off for 40 points. And then last night, although he did have a big point total, he, had a number of big assists and was really trying to get others involved. And, I think that was him saying, I can get us a split in the first 2 games, but I'm not able to carry us this entire series. I have to start getting my teammates involved. And that's what great players do. So, he passed on a few open shots to get a better look for some of his teammates. That built confidence. And he's really, he does exactly what they need him to. He can either be the scorer, passer. He's done everything for this team, and he's gotten his teammates involved, and he's been exactly what this team needs, of course, to be hanging around with Golden State right now.
Yeah, no question. It's definitely probably some of his best play all year. And, going back to our conversation last week, Sean, it was previewing the NBA Finals, and you looked at this Cleveland team who a lot of people said weren't going to the playoffs. Played outstanding basketball all year. Probably, if besides Atlanta, the top team in the Eastern Conference. And, just murdering Atlanta in the Eastern Conference Finals and then literally punching their ticket easily into the NBA Finals. So, as Alex Hand is showing me a movie promo, was that Jurassic World?
2 days.
2 days. Jurassic
World's going to be great. I got to see that.
I got to see. There's a lot of movies I got to see. I got to see Ted 2. I got to see that. I got to see San Andreas. You know,
See, you said that, and the first thing that came into my mind was CJ. So, CJ, oh my dog, what's up? They making a movie about this? Oh no, the newer one with the Rock and the stuff breaking.
Stuff breaking.
Not as awesome as what I would have thought it would be.
The Rock and stuff breaking. I like the way you said that. Accurate.
So every movie he's ever done, really.
Pretty much. So, yeah, a lot of movies I gotta go see, but yeah, going back on the NBA Finals a little bit, like a lot of people didn't pick this Cleveland team to even be in the playoffs, and now they're leading 2-1 in the NBA Finals. They've got all the momentum in their corner, but honestly, the question to both you and Tom, can it last?
I want to say no.
I
think Golden State ends up winning.
I agree.
I think Golden State just has too many players that can step up and win.
Sean, what do you think?
I absolutely do think it can last. I saw an interesting perspective on this last night that I didn't think of it. I probably wouldn't have thought of it watching the way the series has played out, but it's really something that has been evident if you go back and look at these games and look at past history in the NBA Finals. For whatever reason, a lot of times when a great team or a great player like Steph Curry makes the NBA Finals for the first time, they usually struggle the first time in, and they need that pain of a loss, you can say, of losing a series to get back there. It happened to remember when Durant and Westbrook made their run to the finals and just didn't put up any good showing really against LeBron's Miami team. They haven't been back since, mostly because those two haven't been on the court together because of injuries. But should those two stay healthy, let's say next year, Oklahoma City has a lot of problems. But let's say, at some point those two get back to a finals playing on the same team, whether it be Oklahoma City or if they stick together somewhere else, then they'd probably be the favorites. And, this is the Golden State's first time in the finals. So, yes, they do have players that you look at and say, yes, he's a great player. He can step up in this situation. But I think they're a little bit hesitant right now. They've gotten, beat up by Cleveland. Cleveland has admitted to basically just saying, all we're doing is just trying to play physical and out-rebound these guys and out-hustle them. And, Golden State, they're a little bit lost right now. They don't know, who's going to be able to carry this team. Steph Curry doesn't have the finals experience. He doesn't know, necessarily where to look. He needs to be the leader on this team, but he needs other players to step up as well. So I think they're at a bit of a loss as to, where to look to get this fixed and who's going to be that player that steps up in the finals and kind of grows up in a hurry when it comes to understanding the moment that they're in and understanding that this might be their best chance to win it. Obviously we expect Golden State to be a good team for years, but the entire Western Conference has great teams. There's going to be times that they could get tripped up in the first or second round by, one of the lower teams in the West just because the West is such a good conference. So, here's their chance at the NBA Finals. They're down 2-1, and I think there's a high level of concern, but yes, obviously guys like Steph Curry are capable of stepping up. It's just a matter of are they going to. I expect them to at some point, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to happen here in Game 4 in Cleveland. And you're talking about being down 3-1, going back to Golden State. So it's they're in a very tough spot right now, a tougher spot than I think a lot of people would admit that they're in.
Yeah, no question. And the experience factor I feel is going to play its role eventually, but at the end of the day, I have to give the series to Golden State. They're a lot healthier than Cleveland, and Cleveland does have the momentum right now, especially with LeBron James playing the way he is. I said it before, if he was playing like he did against San Antonio last year, this is easily 3-0 Golden State, easily. But LeBron is, I would kind of say, carrying it all on his back right now, and he's showing why. Triple-double in Game 2, 40 points a night. He's playing outstanding basketball. And at the right time, too. And, this Golden State team is the first since '97 when the Utah Jazz did it to go into the Stanley Cup, go into the NBA Finals without any player having NBA Finals experience. So the experience factor could jump ship eventually. And, the same thing happened in, just shifting sports a little bit, the World Series, 2005 Houston Astros, 2007 Colorado Rockies, and both those teams got swept. So, and I believe this Kansas City Royals team as well last year had no World Series experience, but
No, none of them ever made it.
Yeah, so they didn't have any either, but they played an outstanding series against San Francisco. But again, it eventually ended up losing. So, you're right, Sean. The experience factor does play a role in these series, and it could very well spill out at any moment.
And there were times, 100% last night, that Steph Curry, the only word you could use to describe it was 100% hesitant. He was,
or awful.
There were times last night he looked scared at times, being guarded by Matthew Dellavedova. He's faster off the dribble against Dellavedova. There was one play in particular that stood out to me. It was an isolation play. There's nobody around Curry at the top of the key. It's just him and Dellavedova one-on-one. Everybody else was pressed up against the baseline. And instead of attacking him, using his dribble, trying to create some offense for his team and be, the Steph Curry that we saw in the regular season, he's playing hesitant. He's, scared to a sense, and he calls for a screen, creates too much traffic in the middle of the floor. And that was one of the big turnovers he had when the screen came. Braun came over to help, hedged over the screen, and he turned the ball over. So, and then Cleveland scored off the fast break. So that was a turning point in that game, and it all started with him being hesitant. So that's, not the Steph Curry that we need to see for the Warriors to tie this back up in Game 4.
Absolutely, and shifting sports a little bit, I did want to mention this, and we mentioned it a little earlier, myself and Tom on the air, but American Pharaoh winning the Triple Crown this past weekend. Now, I'm not a big horse racing guy, but I did take the time to sit down and watch it, and Sean, this is how I just don't watch horse racing. This is how I never watch horse racing. Up until about a few weeks ago, I didn't even know it was one lap. I thought it was more than that. That's how much I don't pay attention, but
round of applause for that.
I decided to sit down and watch the race, and I was amazed at what I saw. And he had the lead from the very beginning.
Why is my mic off?
Because you left the room.
So,
put my mic off.
Wait, what were you saying?
So your point is, anyway, like, wow, the horses run so fast.
He's making a left turn.
Dude, let's kill the horse.
What?
I'm so tired, man.
No, but what I did notice was he jumped out to a very quick lead, kept it the entire time, and going into the stretch just completely blew away with it. And and my dad was in the living room with me watching. He goes, "He's not going to win." I'm like, "Dad, he's going to win. He's totally favored by his weight and by his speed. He's the horse that's going to do it." And just looking back now on Saturday,
and the voice of Harry Callis broadcasted the rest of the. I already used the word broadcast, and I couldn't redo the same thing. All right, never mind. That joke failed. Keep going back.
All right. So Sean, just give me your insight and how you felt about the Triple Crown.
American Pharaoh is just, beyond impressive as one of the better horses we've ever seen in the sport. He's not quite up there with Secretariat and those horses, but he is impressive. And I'll be the first to admit I was skeptical of him after the first two races with the Derby and the Preakness. I said, he's good, yeah, but I don't think he's that great. I don't think he's going to be able to win the Belmont. I thought he would have a good chance. He'd be in contention at the Belmont, but I didn't think we were looking at one of the best horses that we've seen. But he proved me wrong and a lot of other people wrong. He is, beyond impressive. To win the first two is hard enough, and then to lead, from the start to finish at the Belmont like that is just something we don't see.
Yeah.
The reason the Triple Crown is so rare is because the Belmont is such a longer track, and so
much longer.
Horses don't necessarily profile to be able to win the first two races and then win on the long track, and it really comes down to the jockey a lot of times with how he can position himself. And Victor Espinosa, the jockey for American Pharaoh, didn't really do any of that. He just said, "I'm going to try to lead this thing wire to wire and see if anybody can pass me on the last straightaway." And sure enough, nobody did. American Pharaoh pulled away, and it was, for a specific race, it was one of the most impressive performances. And then looking back at it, to cap off the Triple Crown makes him one of the most impressive horses that we've seen.
Absolutely, Sean, and I can understand why you thought you might necessarily have doubts after the first two races, because American Pharaoh isn't the first horse to be in this situation recently. It happened last year, happened a few years prior. It's happened many times since 1978 where a horse would be going into the Belmont, winning the Preakness and winning the Kentucky Derby, but they didn't win the Belmont, and it's happened a lot of times, most recently last year. And, but a lot of people had favored American Pharaoh, and sure enough, he was the one to do it.
Yeah, it was, a lot of horses haven't been able to, win all three. A lot of the times the reason for that was, whoever wins the Derby was a big underdog, so you wouldn't even expect them to win the second one. And then if they get past there, they just really have no shot in the Belmont.
Not to mention the Preakness was pouring rain. There's mud everywhere, too.
Yep. It was not, that really changed the whole field and changed, really it had to change the approach of every jockey there and how everything was going to shape out.
Absolutely. And so obviously it was a big deal. First time in 37 years that a horse had won the Triple Crown. But just going off on the entire race, what were your thoughts? How was, what did you think about the build-up of American Pharaoh going towards the Triple Crown? What did you think about the whole experience overall?
From, all three races or just from the Belmont?
Just from the Preakness to the Belmont, like the build-up.
I thought it was what we've normally seen with horses going for the Triple Crown. It's going to be talked about a lot. It's an award it's a trophy that hasn't been given out in, 37 years until it was given to Victor Espinosa and American Pharaoh. So, obviously horse racing isn't necessarily one of the most popular sports, so it's not a trophy that we really talk about a lot. But if you want to put it in the discussion of, hardest sports accomplishments to win, the Triple Crown definitely has to be up there, even if it's not one that's as recognizable as, let's say the Stanley Cup or, the Wiley O'Brien Trophy or any of those.
Yeah.
So, I think it was exciting the lead up to giving out to have a chance for a horse to win Triple Crown, and I think a lot of people who were close to the sport knew that Pharaoh had a great chance, and, sure enough, he put together a super impressive performance at the Belmont to do it. So, I was happy with the way everything shaped out from the Preakness to the Belmont and after the Derby and all of that, and it's something the sport of horse racing needed. It's a sport I definitely enjoyed to watch and kind of wish I could watch more of it. They don't really have a ton of it on TV, so it's good for the sport, and it was good, for horse racing fans and everybody that was watching this race, which was, a lot of people, obviously.
Oh, yeah, and the real only 3 televised horse races that obviously everybody talks about are those 3 races, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. But now, shifting sports a little bit, we're going to go a little bit into NFL because as Alex now has a sense of relief that he could start talking again about something relevant.
You could hear the sound of eyes rolling.
But, Sean, I just wanted your opinion with Adrian Peterson reporting the OTAs last week. This is a guy saying that he was going to threaten retirement if he wasn't traded and he had to stay with Minnesota. Why do you think the change of heart came so quick?
Because he loves money.
True.
Yeah, I just think, he realized...
To get back to the basics of it,
I think, no matter how this shapes out, he realizes, he's still at a point in his career where he can still be very productive and he still, wants to be able to play and let all this sort of kind of side stuff shape out. So I think it was just kind of a matter of that and a matter of not wanting to, should he stay in Minnesota, not wanting to create too much controversy and too many headlines and draw too much attention to their camp, while that was going on, because, those guys are going to be his teammates should he stay there. And, a lot of people think that this Vikings team could be pretty good with Teddy Bridgewater, the young quarterback, getting better, and Peterson now, could be his running back with him. So, a lot of people think that could lead to a lot of success for this team, and I think he sees that too and did the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's definitely an interesting situation where this guy did threaten retirement if he wasn't traded, and of course that's where you and I as Dallas fans were like, he's coming, and then sure enough he ends up doing the right thing, reporting OTAs, letting the personal stuff bypass him, and he's there for the reasons that everybody else is there. He's there to win championships, and you can't fault a guy for that, and you just hope he does well at this year, and you just hope that, he can be...
Am I the only one that really doesn't like him and hope that he bombs?
I don't like him, but I'm not hoping that he bombs. I mean, he's going on 30 years old. This is the time where running backs start to decline their status.
He's 30 years old, and he's got over 10,000 miles racked up on him.
Exactly. So
and 0 O-line help.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be...
NFC North.
I'm not saying he's going to be great. I'm just saying it's one of those times where... his status is going to start declining. He's on 30 years old. He has no O-line in Minnesota. So I don't see this being a great year for him. I just,
Sean's just hoping he has a good year so that way Dallas will trade for him.
no. Because if I draft
Dallas
him.
still has no money. That's the
No,
problem.
because if I end up drafting him in August, he's going to have a good year.
You doing fantasy?
Your
Lot.
fantasy teams always blow.
No.
Eddie Lacy, if you had to pick one, almost
I second
always.
that. Even though I haven't seen any of Sean's teams, I bet his teams.
Not any
aren't any
one
good.
of us are Packers fans, but you always got to go with A-Rod and Lacy.
Actually, Sean, just so you are aware, I went with a different strategy this year, and 2 of my 3 teams were actually pretty good. The third one was terrible. So
Was that
okay.
the one that was in your brother's league?
No, your league.
Well, I averages there.
So 2 of the 3 teams, I think I fell out in the semifinals. I didn't win anything, but I almost did.
I got to start doing stuff
Yeah,
for fantasy
I had
this
2
year.
teams. One wasn't that good. One kind of a up and down season, I guess you could say. But not my best year for fantasy. I was hoping to have a good year, bounce back year this season.
Yeah, hopefully soon we'll be able to do fantasy football coverage on this show too.
I have to start writing about it.
Yeah, as we get more into July and definitely August, that'll probably be all we talk about on the show besides baseball. Because
the roster's going from 90 to 75
That
to
too.
53.
yeah,
Excuse me. And,
draft days are gonna be fun. I got like 3 leagues, maybe 4, that I'm gonna be in this year.
Dude, covering the draft this year was fun.
What leagues are you in?
Your
Fun,
league,
yeah.
Jimmy's league, my uncle's league,
Okay.
and I possibly might be in Craig's league. He asked
because
me.
there were a fistful that just didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Nicole's going to have some idea. Nicole's actually really good with fantasy.
Really?
She picks the same way that other chicks will pick horses in horse races, but 9 times out of 10, that's how they win.
You know what's funny?
I
Many-
like the guy's name. I like his color, and that's the one that wins every time.
You know, a few years ago,
He's cute. I'm going to draft him.
a few years ago when we did Jimmy's league for the first time, I don't think you were in it yet.
No,
It was just a bunch
did it
of
the
us.
second year. It was your
Yeah.
I replaced one of your sisters.
Our sisters were in it, and they didn't know what they were doing. We were using them to fill up teams. So myself and my brother drafted their teams. And the one that I drafted was the best team in the league. And my team finished like dead last.
Dude, that's how mine was. I had Peyton Manning and LaShawn McCoy in
Yeah.
2013.
I asked my sister, I go, did you make any transactions? She goes, no. My mom ran her team. She was like putting in starters and everything. I go, Mom, did you trade anybody? Did you release anybody? She goes, no. I'm like,
It's locked
I
in.
won the Super Bowl then.
Yeah.
Not
Or
fair.
should
I'll never forget the first season I played, the first season that my dad did fantasy. I joined the same league as him. I was already playing for a couple of years, and he had, for whatever reason, I forget who he had on the team, and it wasn't a great team by any stretch, but he was just winning like every week, and he was in first place pretty much the entire season. He went on to lose in the championship game, but the way the NFL.com schedule worked, we played twice that year. And I think he finished the regular season with 3 losses, and I was 2 of them. So that was, even though I missed the playoffs, I beat him twice. So I was pretty happy about that.
Fantasy football is the
my-
hardest thing to predict.
We can keep talking about fantasy, actually. My sleeper alert for fantasy, Sam Bradford.
Really?
Every quarterback does really well in
What
this
round do you
offense.
expect him to go in?
Sanchez did well when he won.
Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford, yep.
As long as he's healthy.
Well, what
That's the only
round-
question is his health.
Well, we'll get more
I
into
won't
that.
take him within the first 3 rounds.
No,
Let's not
no,
get
no.
ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, he'd
I know-
be
I-
like one of those late.
My strategy is I really don't take a quarterback till the 5th or 6th round anyway.
That's
You
your
can.
That's your
Yeah,
father's
I don't
strategy.
And I took it and I did well, didn't I?
And you can usually do really well.
Well,
like,
it depends on who's out there, though. You have to think about it. Like,
I
if you
took
have
Drew-
the number 1 pick, you're not going to be
Last
like,
Yeah.
year, I'm
gonna take a
this is for
defense
me.
with
I
the
always
number
start
1
with a
pick.
running back.
I usually start with a running back as well. Wide receiver.
Yeah.
You have-
I
Wide
started with a
receiver, I
right-
go next if they're still
Yeah.
there.
Sometimes I'll start with a wide receiver.
Well, I think last year I had the double pick. I picked somebody in Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, real quick, guys. We'll get more into this when we come back from the break. We have to take a quick break here, 2:45. So coming back, we'll finish up our now fantasy football discussion. I probably wouldn't have thought of that if Alex didn't show up. So then we'll get more into baseball later on the show. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this. All right, we're back here on SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, Alex Hand in the studio. Sean Martin is on the phone.
yeah.
Love Alex Hand in the studio.
Because all it is goofy stuff nonstop. So
It really is.
I had to tell you that in advance, like just so you know, I ain't gonna miss a beat when I come back on the mic.
And then I texted you back, do you not remember the last 5 months?
Thing that everyone's automatically quits.
What you running on about? As Linkin Park's playing in the background. He missed that.
Sean
Anyway.
Martin. The Sean Martin,
I
everybody.
can't hear any of the music, so I was just like,
All right. So we were discussing a little bit of fantasy football before we went to break. So
Jeopardy's on. Anyway,
Jeopardy. But
got a little attention problem.
we were talking about quarterbacks going in each round. Personally, I wouldn't, and the strategy worked last year in 2 out of my 3 leagues. It worked.
Yeah.
I figure 6th, 5th, maybe 7th if you can stretch it.
It didn't
That's
work
when I would
for
take
me the one
quarterback.
year that I followed.
I was able to
followed.
get like Nick Foles in the 6th round.
Yeah, exactly. I drafted Nick Foles and Andrew Luck all within like the 6th and 8th round.
I was
How
doing
did
that
Luck
waiting.
slip that far?
I don't
I
know.
don't
In
know.
2 of my leagues, he
Dude,
slipped.
what?
That wasn't in Jimmy. That
Peyton
wasn't in.
Manning, A-Rod, and Brady almost always go in the first 2.
Yes. And because you know what, all those like top 20 quarterbacks you can get in like the 8th or 6th round, you could be
Brees,
decent.
you might be able to get in the 3rd or 4th.
Well, Breeze is probably going to slip this year.
Well, he was god awful last year.
Yeah.
Didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
But at
The entire
least
Saints didn't do anything. You
at
lost
least-
to the Jets.
at least in my experience last year, I remember I got Foles in the 6th round and Luck in either the 8th or 9th, and Luck ended up being my starter at the end of the day.
What league did you get Luck in? It couldn't have been Jimmy's.
No, it was
Because I would have taken him.
no, I don't think so. I got him. Excuse me, I got him in 2 leagues. So it's. I know I had him
You
in
had-
my uncle's league, and I had him in another one. I don't remember.
I wasn't Clay's because I think I had Luck in Clay's. So you must have gotten
Then
him.
that means I had him in Jimmy's then.
Yeah, you must have gotten him somehow. That's right, because I wanted. To
Do you
punch
remember when I drafted Jeremy Maclin and Gio laughed in my face? I was like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like,
you know
"He's
he's
the-
gonna be great.
I'm like, "He's the
yeah.
sleeper of this draft."
That's what I said. I even said that to you. I go. You suck because that was going to be my next pick.
Yeah, he's laughing at me. I'm like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "He's coming off a torn ACL, yeah, but he's gonna come back dominant."
Not even
He's
that.
Philly's
who
only
Else, who else did they have to
exactly.
throw to?
He's Philly's only
you
weapon at
had
the time.
Riley Cooper, who was, in all honesty, a number 3, and you had rookie Jordan Matthews. You had no
Exactly.
one else. In
Exactly,
The
and
Yeah,
he's
you
gonna
didn't
be.
expect Matthews to be who he can be.
Well,
and
you
you
knew
know
he was
what-
going to play in the slot. So even if
Yeah.
he was great, he's still nickel.
And you know what? With Jeremy Maclin now in Kansas City, he's gonna be another great pick because who else do they have?
Yeah, because
I'm just trying to
didn't they
think
let
because
go-
you also have that division you got to worry about now. Now
Yeah,
you got to keep Talib lining up on the other end.
yeah, but you look at Kansas City, who didn't have one wide receiver touchdown
Well, you also
in
have Oakland in
2014
that division, and Oakland's just garbage.
and still barely missed the playoffs.
Who's this?
Kansas City.
Yeah, they barely.
And they didn't have one wide receiver from a touchdown, or one wide receiver have a touchdown all
That's
year.
right. They didn't make the
which is
playoffs,
the
but
most
then
They were all
absurd
no
stat in
names.
today's NFL.
Yeah, but
They were all garbage.
that's my personal draft strategy. And sometimes even if the best
Yeah.
tight end is still there in rounds 3 or 4, I'm taking him.
I took Megatron the first round last year, and of course he gets injured. and
Yeah,
you're
that
like,
happened to
He
me.
what did he have? He had an outstanding performance against the Giants, and that was it.
Yep, then
Pretty
he
much.
hurt his foot.
I remember. I think I
remember
took
in
Jimmy
June-
Graham in the 4th round in one of my leagues.
In Jimmy's league, I remember I waited till like the 8th round, and I wound up with Tony Romo as my starter. I was like, "Oh, this season's over."
I remember I had
then Romo played
in
his-
one of my leagues, and I think it was my uncle's because
career.
it was my best league. I had running back, wide receiver, running back, tight end, quarterback.
Nothing was worse than I got Cam Newton last year, and he missed the first game, and I'm like, "Great, I'm stuck with Romo." And Romo threw 5 interceptions.
How do you think
to
I
open
felt?
up the year?
Wait, how do you think I felt having AP on my team? How do you think I felt after week 1?
Now, do you have
Really, you hit your kid?
Are you able to get the? Can you draft a defense like individual defensive players on the NFL's site?
On the NFL, I'm not sure. ESPN,
Yes.
you definitely
Yes, you can.
I know
You
when
just
you
have to have
had
it set that way.
Yeah, you have to have it set that
I
way.
want to talk to Craig, see if we can get that done.
Because for Jimmy's league, we had we had a defense and a defensive player.
Yeah, it's all of a matter of how many you want to draft. Like we had a defense and one
I
defensive
want to
player in
go
the starting
across
lineup.
the board. This is what I.
Oh God, that's gonna be awful.
11
Here's
on
how
11
it's
is how we doing
I
it.
did one defensive player draft once, and it was the worst experience in my fantasy football.
We didn't have that many problems with it.
No, because we only did it.
we
where
only
you
drafted
got,
2 guys.
Yeah, you were only allowed to do 2 because we did a live
The
draft.
one I did,
Yeah.
like, full defense, and it was just awful because it was way
Because
too
I
much
hate
to
doing
set
the
up
whole
your lineup
defense
first
because
of
you're
all.
like.
And they really got you any points.
Oh,
So I just
defense.
said, screw it, I'm just gonna have the worst defense in the league and try to win with my offense, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I like individual stats because it's just so much easier. Because any given day, you pick the Jets. Last year, okay, they're either dominate against the Saints or get destroyed by the Bills. You have no idea what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
He thought he was in a scrimmage.
Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins got tripped on a blade of grass.
Sammy Watkins only had 3 catches for 167 yards.
That was insane.
Ford only completed 10 passes for 9,000 yards.
That's easily my favorite Francesa video ever. Besides the Mets rant he did like 3 years ago.
Sammy Watkins should actually be a pretty good sleeper with
Yeah,
Greg
he
Roman
should.
as offensive coordinator.
Florida section.
I would say sleeper because he's kind of a given. Like he's 6'1" and
Who's this?
Sammy Watkins.
Okay, yeah.
Buffalo. And Matt Sims
him.
probably gonna start.
Yeah, and we spoke about it earlier. Matt Sims being on this Buffalo team now, how
if he just needs to be Matt Castle, that's
he
about
could
it.
easily be a starter. Maybe not this year, but in the years to come, definitely could be a starter for that team.
I also wanted to make a note at the amount of San Francisco 49ers that are just leaving altogether.
They can't catch a break.
No, think about it. Like, how many of them have we seen in the last 3 years that have just up and left? Not wanting to trade, not going anywhere,
retired.
Just leave.
Leave,
at 25
retire.
years old.
Didn't Vernon Davis retire now?
Anthony Davis, he's leaving for the year.
Anthony
I mean,
Davis?
like,
But still, yeah.
Chris
I saw
Borland,
Davis, so I
Michael
just
James
assumed
left.
The latest one was Anthony Davis, and he's only leaving for the year.
Okay, and then he's coming back?
Yeah, he wants to make sure he heals properly. So, like, he's got, like, something with his brain or something. He wants to make sure it heals properly.
Okay.
But, I mean, Chris Borland left out of fear, or just that was his reasoning. Michael James left. So many other D linemen.
I don't know
just
why the
up
Michael
and
James
left.
would have left. Because
San Francisco's going
Gore-
down.
No, it makes
too
no
fast.
sense because all of them just up and not
Michael
look for
James
other
would have been the
teams, they just
starting running
leave.
back this year. Because
He left
Gore,
a little while.
because Gore
ago.
left.
Well, but
Yeah,
he
Gore's
left before
gone.
Gore left, though.
Okay.
Which I find amazing that no running back has been able to unseat him. Like the man's older than dirt.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah,
he
now
can't
he
play
went to
better
the
than him.
Colts, and now he's gonna die because we have no offensive line.
Mm,
That
he
pissed me.
picked up Harriman's.
That was really annoying. That our number 1 pick in the first round of the draft, we go wide receiver. Why?
Yeah, I didn't like the Dorset pick.
No.
I was
And
like,
that was first-
why?
that was
Like
first
great
round,
player,
correct?
but at
Yeah.
the same, it's
Not
like,
first
okay,
round.
I'm like, you already have what's his
Hilton.
He's 5'10", right?
He's small.
Yeah, he's like you already have two
He's
small
like
speedy
he's your
guys.
speed
Why?
guy.
Like yeah, it's all.
And you have
it's-
Johnson, who's most likely going to start on the other side.
Yeah, you have Andre Johnson. You got Dwayne Allen.
No, I'm
and
not
Colby
talking about
Fleener.
like in terms of population, but if you're going to have a short, speedy guy, generally you should only have one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Why would
And
you
that's
have
Hilton.
two smaller,
And we
fast
already
guys?
have another guy, that guy Brazil. He's another home run
Yeah.
hitting receiver. He's got
He's
speed
pretty
to
good.
him.
But
Nothing was better than going to watch
yeah, I didn't
the
like that
game
pick
at
by
Giant Stadium.
Indianapolis.
I got booed. I wore a Peyton Manning jersey just because it was the only jersey I could find that I still had that was Colts. And some guy kept yelling at me.
You know
Till
what's funny?
halftime.
What happens?
I don't know if I told you the story about the Giants game I went to against Philadelphia in December. He's
You're
the person
welcome.
that gave me the tickets.
In Philly?
No, at Giant
At
Stadium.
Giant
Yeah, that's
Stadium.
what I thought. Yeah,
In a-
because
in
I
a
know you're
luxury
smarter
box
than
where
that.
you
He's
got
the
free
person.
food.
He's the guy who gave me the tickets.
No,
So-
then you were but you were enclosed. You were okay. You didn't get dressed in your Dallas gear
No,
and go to.
I would have if it was Dallas, but Dallas had
Yeah.
already claimed the division. It was a throwaway
Jimmy hated
game.
me that day.
What you're talking the Week 17?
The
game?
Week 17 game, Dallas had already
Oh.
claimed the division. They beat up on Washington, so it was just a game where the Giants and Eagles were going to beat the hell out of each other.
which
Yeah.
is the greatest game of all time.
It was actually a really good game. I thought.
Sean just sat there, ate his free food.
I ate $500 worth of food. I'm not even kidding.
Not surprised. Everything's overpriced in those.
Well, everything
It
was
everything
free.
with the tickets I gave him. It was free food.
It was
I believe
$700 ticket. It was $700 ticket a person. We got
It
him
was-
for free.
Yeah, it was easily $1,000 ticket.
We ate $700 worth of food easily.
Hmm.
I believe you.
You're lucky that I didn't have two good feet.
Well, if you did, you were going with me.
Yeah, I know. I had surgery like 3 days before Christmas on my foot. So when I got the tickets, I was
You're
in.
going one way or another. It's free
I was
food.
I was in a cast. No, because I didn't think. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get to the seats to see the game
Yeah.
and everything?
Crawl. You find a.
No,
come
if
hell or
we
high
knew there
water.
was an actual way to do it, he would have been going with me.
Yeah, because our only problem is I wouldn't have been able to do anything with my foot. I couldn't put any weight on it. or anything.
It wasn't like the game in August where you went.
No, I would have gotten a wheelchair there, but like I couldn't go out in the front because I would have been staring at people's butts the whole entire game.
And we got great parking, but the entrance was still on the other side of the stadium.
Yeah, that was the one annoying thing is the parking pass literally got you front row, like first spot in the whole entire parking lot.
But you still had to walk across the stadium.
Yeah. Like if you could have just taken the train.
Yeah.
Because it was right at the train station.
Me and Craig are trying to get tickets to the Eagles-Jets game this year. Week 3 at MetLife. It's gonna be expensive.
Was that Sunday?
I think it might be at 1 o'clock, but still. I don't care. We're going one way or another.
No, that's what I mean. Like, was it a Sunday night? Was it a Monday night?
Jets Eagles. I can't imagine that being a Sunday night. Did his call just drop?
I think it might have. Sean, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh no, he's still there.
He's just dropping stuff in his room. Anyway. But yeah, watching the Todd Bowles Jets against the Chip Kelly Eagles is actually going to be really fun to watch.
The Philadelphia Ducks.
Even though there's only maybe 5 Oregon Ducks on the team.
I thought there was like 9 now.
There's more ex-Houston Texans on the Eagles than there are Oregon Ducks.
Wow.
Nobody wants to talk about that one, though. Nor does anybody ever want to talk about how Jim Harbaugh never wanted to draft Andrew Luck, quote unquote.
Well, Jim Harbaugh is now at the University of Michigan, so...
Yeah, but when he was at San Francisco,
I know.
He came from Stanford, and he had that draft pick, and nobody ever said anything about him trading up to get Andrew Luck.
When you got Roy, you could do anything.
Just wait for me to do that. What are you
What
going on
happened,
about,
Sean?
Sean?
Sean, what were you saying?
I said with the 49ers, they weren't planning on taking a quarterback anyway. So
Who are you talking about?
San Francisco, I believe.
But even still, it's like the same concept. Like, well, we just picked up Sam Bradford. We have Mark Sanchez, who already played a year, a fistful of other guys at depth. Oh, but it has to be Mariota. It has to be the guy that fits the offense perfectly. Like, yeah, but that requires 2 firsts, a second, a third, Fletcher Cox, Michael Kendricks, and probably Malcolm Jenkins.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not trading that.
It's definitely, I thought it was a great draft this year as we hit the top of the 3 o'clock hour on the dot on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. You're listening.
Everything that rocks.
The voice of Montclair State. You're listening to SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis, Alex Hand in the studio.
I don't even
Sean
go
Martin.
here.
I don't even go here. Sean Martin on the phone with us.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
We're just talking about a whole lot of sports topics as the show goes along. Right now, we're currently on NFL. Talked a little fantasy football before. We had Mike Morreale.
What do you think? I said Craig said what the Jets were going to do. I said what the Eagles were going to do season record-wise. What do you got for the Dallas Cowboys? They lost DeMarco Murray, built there's more depth at O-line.
Yeah.
So barring no injury, they should still be fine. Des Bryant, who hasn't signed his franchise tag yet, but is still practicing. Romo, 38 now?
Yeah, he's old. He's not 38, is he?
He's old, and they have zero backup. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If he was old and they had a backup the way they just did with Drew Brees, it'd be okay.
I don't see this Dallas team having much problems with winning because you're right, DeMarco Murray was a huge loss, but they have more depth in the O-line where I'm not saying Darren McFadden is going to be a superstar this year, but he should be okay with
He might actually stay healthy for
being the starter. Him or Randall, whoever's the starter, should be fine. Should pick up enough. I'm not saying crazy numbers, but enough to win. If I had to pick
Romo's going to have to throw the ball more.
He's
than
going
he
to.
did.
You're right. And if I had to pick,
at the very least, get some screen routes or wheel route passes.
If I had to pick, and Sean, you'll be next to predict. I'm not seeing 12-4. I'm seeing more 11-5, 10-6 out of this Cowboys team. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I like 11-5. Right around there. Should be good. Obviously the loss of DeMarco Murray is what everyone's going to talk about. But I think as long as they're still running the football, no matter who they're giving the ball to, if they're sharing carries between these guys with Randall and McFadden, as long as they're still committed to running the football, and those guys can have some success behind what obviously is one of the best O-lines in football, then I think they should be fine, and it'll certainly help Romo a lot, who you mentioned is getting older but has the protection in front of him now and has the best set of wide receivers he's going to have with Des Bryant, Terrence Williams, Devin Street, guys like that. Cole Beasley even has been more and more of a contributor, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. So I think offensively there really hasn't ever been any issues, and now that's pretty much set, for this year as well. You can check that off. And then defensively, they have, they should have a pretty good defensive line, front seven. Hopefully Sean Lee can stay healthy.
Sean Lee, who's made of sugar packets.
Doesn't happen. But, defensively, they should be all right. And I hope,
Defense, I think,
really
is where
like
most of the
Byron
question
Jones
marks
back
are.
for the secondary, and he's a guy that we've been needing for years. So, 11-5 seems about right.
Yeah, and as Alex's mic breaks once again in the studio, we're having all types of technical
It's
difficulties.
the second
today.
time, so you think they'd put some Loctite in them, because there's not really any reason they should come undone anyway. Somebody calling? No, it's just my phone blowing up.
No, I think it was Craig. He just sent us both a tweet.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it said, "Did you guys know that James Jones was cut from Oakland?" I think I heard that somewhere.
Why does that sound like old news? But
It does sound like old news.
Time.
Like, I thought I heard it somewhere, but at the same time, it's like, did he?
Yeah.
Like, that's
This is
how-
Oakland. Like, there's only a fistful of name guys that they have to worry about.
Yeah. But
As far as defense goes for Dallas, though, Byron Jones, I like the draft. So he solidifies one side of the ball. The rest of them, though, between Orlando Scandrick and who's the other dude from LSU that I can't think of?
Leo Collins,
No. The guy already on your team.
Gregory,
Corner.
who, Sean?
Morris Claiborne.
Yeah, Morris Claiborne and whoever really. None of those guys really stand out. You got Byron Jones, who's expected to do well, but then the others, it's like, okay, fight over it.
They're gonna have help from what's gonna be probably the best front seven the guys like Scandrick have ever played with. So
you had a bunch of no names as your front seven because everybody got injured during the summer. I don't know where this idea of the best front seven's coming from.
It's because it's too hot.
The league best that these corners have played with is the veteran guys. At least obviously Jones isn't a veteran. He's coming in here for the first time, and Claiborne hasn't been around long and hasn't shown his potential. But the veteran guys have been here for a number of years where we've just had no pass rush outside of DeMarcus Ware. So I do think that the front
that's the thing. Nobody's compensated for Ware's loss. Gregory, I am convinced, is not going to make it. Is going to be like Marcus Smith of last year. He's not going to make an impact just because he doesn't have the weight to do so. Because you look at he's going to be a 9 tech, but does he have at least the speed or the size that Javon Curse did, who in my mind is one of the greatest in terms of prototypical 9 techniques that's out there, that thin, slender guy that can bend around corners. You at least have to be 269, 265, 270, 275, and then bend that left tackle and pull around. You can't just be skinny and hope that you're going to go across Jason Peters every time. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So they need to figure out who's going to rush the passer.
Didn't you guys have Greg Hardy or whatever his name is?
Yeah, he's
Guy
gone
from
for 10
Carolina?
games.
Yeah, they still gave him the full 10.
I think so. I
So
don't think
that's
the appeal
virtually
came in yet.
useless.
Pretty
That's
much.
more than half the season.
I don't understand why he got suspended the 10 games.
Because he paid off his. I don't know if they're still dating, but
Okay, never mind.
there's reason for why
There's
this man
reasons
shouldn't play football.
like the Chargers got dropped, but he wasn't out of the water, and everybody
Okay.
knew that, and we
Yeah.
knew it when we signed him. But
Well, he didn't play at all last year. Didn't Carolina
Carolina didn't want him.
Carolina was like,
They
you know,
said
didn't
we
think-
will
You're outta
not
here.
associate with this. Kicked
Didn't-
him off.
Didn't they
But-
release him or whatever, and nobody took him, so he didn't even play last year?
Yeah, but it's just the concept. He's going to sit out for 10 games, so there's still going to be
Yeah.
zero pass rush from that perspective,
Yep.
Yeah.
unless some
He's
backup
useless.
makes a name.
pretty much. But
Sean Lee, I like, but is never healthy for a full 16 almost ever. So he needs to make sure he can stay on that grind.
sugar packets.
Rolando McClain, I think switching to outside, strong side linebacker, which should be good if he can continue what he did last season. That should be all right. And I was looking on the depth chart. Every single one of in the linebacker core rotates between outside and middle. It's like, do we not have anyone specifically designed just to play weak side? Will, Buck, middle, Mike.
Not really.
No, they just all rotate, which I
Yeah.
think might be a problem for them down the road, is they don't find their exact niche and then perform in that to a really high standard. So they need to figure out who's going to be dropping into coverage and rushing the passer from that perspective.
Yeah.
And who are your safeties?
see who my safeties. You see, I can't even remember because I've been so out of NFL the last few weeks.
Sean, who are the safeties?
Yeah, tell me.
You have J.J. Wilcox.
Yeah.
And
Barry
I don't
Churchill,
even know
right?
who's going to be starting on the other spot.
Is it Barry Church?
I think so.
Whatever his last
Coach
name
is
is.
there, but yeah.
Yeah,
Coach
is he not
probably
gonna-
get the starting job.
You know, like
Yeah.
okay
Barry Church and
guys,
Wilcox.
but
You need more help back there.
yeah, and they need at the very least you stop the run.
Yeah.
Start with that. Defend the X play, and try to blitz the quarterback. If they can do a little bit of those three, they'll be all right. But I don't see that happening in my record outlook for the Dallas Cowboys, especially with the Tom Coughlin Giants building up to the way they are now, 9-7.
You
For
think
Dallas.
that's a 9-7 for Dallas?
I still think they'll be good, but you don't have Murray anymore.
9-7 is debatable. I definitely could see it.
Romo is going to get hurt in some way. Like he's
Again.
His back isn't 100%. It hasn't been for
because
2
like
years.
as tough
Yeah,
as a
it's
fight.
injury for like a starting quarterback like that. Obviously, we're basing projections off of if Romo is playing.
I mean, as much of a warrior that he is and fights through injury, he's getting old. He's going to have something. It may not take him out of 6 games, but it's going to take him out of something. He won't be
It's
able
going
to
to take his
complete-
momentum away. Like
It's happened
exactly.
to end up
the
like
wa-
Aaron Rodgers in the
It's
playoffs
happened the
with
last
that
few
bum leg.
seasons
Well,
now.
from what
Ex-
I've heard from him, he said he's the healthiest he's ever felt. And he's
Well, what do you
changed
think
off
he's
the
gonna say?
program.
I thought he just said he heard from him. I'm like, oh, you heard from Tony Romo, huh?
Through the grapevine.
He tweeted at me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wonderful.
Get him on my show.
But yeah, the Giants aren't a team to sleep on. Anybody knows the Tom Coughlin Giants. You don't sleep on. That's
No.
always a wild card team, no matter what the game is, no matter what's going on.
And they're always dangerous in the playoffs.
They won the Super Bowl. If they make it to the playoffs, they virtually won the Super
Pretty
Bowl.
much.
Unless the
Yeah.
Eagles are there, and then it just becomes comical because you're like, okay, this is really anything. Is any have there been any bets placed? No, good. But they got a brand new offensive lineman in Eric Flowers, massive man who might actually have to start at left tackle because of an injury to Will Beatty, I think. Beatty, however you pronounce it.
And he's a
Yeah,
guy who can
I think
transition
he's
over,
out
too.
I think he's out for the year already.
He's
Yeah.
been out for the year. Okay.
And
so-
Flowers can transition over without a problem.
I think he blew out
No,
his...
I think that's what they're
blew out his
saying is
leg.
have him start at left and then
Mhm.
event.
That's what they
keep-
said. They said he played most of his
Because what are you going to do?
career
Put Justin Pugh at left?
left.
Hello?
No.
Not happening. So the line should be a little better, or it might be worse because now you don't have your Flowers is being forced to play a role he hasn't played, which is NFL left tackle, which is
Yeah.
night and day to anything else that these kids have played.
You know,
And Justin Pugh is still playing a position where he should be playing guard.
it's like fantasy football, dude. Only time's going to tell. So,
Well, obviously, but the secondary has been almost rebuilt. You know, they lost both Stevie Brown and Antrell Roll, who's a favorite player of mine, but been replaced by Landon Collins, who is like reminds me a lot of Sean Taylor, and that's not just because he likes him and he wears the number and everything like that, but his style is start at strong, and he might move to free once he understands the defense.
yeah.
They
And-
need linebacker help, though. That's the one thing
Mhm.
the New York needs, and they've yet to address it. So whether they find somebody or pick somebody up late in the camp or something,
Now
yeah,
he
he dropped out.
Now he
out.
dropped.
But yeah, Dallas, I'm feeling 9-7. What'd the Giants do this past season? 6-10.
It was like, no, not even. I think it was like 4-12.
Yeah, they went like.
They had an
4-12.
awful season.
I know they had to play the NFC West, which is kind of a given. So I'm gonna shoot. I don't want to say 6-10 because that sounds really low, but you know what? I'm gonna stick with that because the O-line already has an injury in place.
No, I definitely.
and they have zero linebacker help.
Yeah, no, I definitely see an improvement for the Giants this year, and I could agree with 6-10. But we did your Eagles. Craig did his Jets earlier. We did our Cowboys. Indianapolis Colts. Where do you see them falling?
12
They
and 4.
literally have
Really?
3 seasons to win the Super Bowl.
I see
with
12
all
and
the-
4.
No, literally, they're right. This is a team where I
Keep
feel.
in mind, they play in one of the worst divisions.
Yeah.
Oh
of
no,
all
they're
Our
going to win the
division's a
division
joke.
hands down. They're going to win the AFC South hands down.
It's a
Oh,
joke.
absolutely. But it's a matter of how far is that going to get them? Because last year, 2 years ago, got him to the division playoff. Then it got him to the American.
They might be able to
AFC
go
Championship.
13-3 because think about the
Possibly.
amount of talent. They already play in a horrible division. The
Yeah,
amount of
so we
talent.
might
Yeah,
as
they've
well
already won it.
So we might as
They're-
well sweep the division.
It's
You
old
play each-
money in the sense that, okay, you got Andre Johnson, you got Frank Gore, you got Todd Hermans. These guys are built to play right now. When it gets late in the season,
Yeah, who
they
knows?
start getting a little gassed, a little winded. So they're
Has Andre Johnson ever been in the playoffs?
Yeah.
He has.
Houston's been there a few times.
Okay,
I'm
not sure.
The Colts have like 3 years to win a Super Bowl because of who they sign. Like you sign all these veteran guys, that means you have a finite window, and I'm giving
Yeah.
it like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yes.
That's like the same thing now with Peyton. He's got like maybe one.
Oh, that
2
entire
years.
team is fraught with. I give them 4 years max.
You think
I mean-
Peyton's gonna stay for 4 more years?
No.
Oh no, I'm saying the entire team with a
Peyton
winning
might not be
record
there
is
after
four
this season.
seasons.
Okay.
Peyton might not be there after this season.
And I don't know if
yeah.
I'm sold on Brock Osweiler.
No.
No way. He used to play for the Colts. I'm pretty sure for like a
No, he
year.
wasn't. He was drafted by Denver.
Oh, I lied then. I can't think. There's some.
you're
they
a
had,
liar.
they had somebody with some weird, bizarre name. The
Yeah.
Colts did.
Harbaugh. He played for the Colts back
True.
in the day.
Guys, we
Ray
got
Lewis's first tackle, actually.
very true. Guys, we take a quick break here on SMC Sports. When we come back, we'll probably wrap up a little NFL. We'll get into baseball as well. A lot of news regarding the Yankees. Big news happening from Citi Field last night. Chris Heston's no-hitter against the Mets. We'll get more into that later. And my reaction
Typical
towards
Mets
it.
season.
You see, even when it's like they're terrible, at least they get a few hits. Then they got no hit. So we'll have more reactions on that when we come back. This is SMC Sports, back after this.
Hey, it's Jesse Leach from Kill Switch Engage, and you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
All right, we're back here on SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis in the studio. Alex Hand just stepped out. Alex, thank you for being on. Sean Martin, of course, left as well. Sean, thank you for always coming on as well. A lot of great things to still talk about in the next 45 minutes of the show. Justin Frasco with Tropical Storms will be on at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. That'll be in about 45 minutes or so. And just so you guys know, just a little promotion, I will be recording this entire show and putting it on YouTube, as well as the one I did last week. So if you missed the show, or you have friends who wanted to see the show or listen to the show and missed it, they can catch it on YouTube. You can also catch my interview with NHL.com staff writer Mike Morreale on SoundCloud later tonight. A lot of great things going on in the sports world today. Mets will continue their series with the Giants tonight, and
Are they gonna get shut out again?
I hope not.
No hit.
They
Guys
defi-
gonna throw a perfect game
you
tonight.
that's definitely not going to happen, and you know that. There's no if that happens again, I'll just be like, there is no God.
Season's over.
Yankees will finish up their series with the Nationals tonight. We have NBA Finals Game 4 tomorrow. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Golden State Warriors. And tonight, we have the Game 4 edition of the Stanley Cup Finals, which will feature the Tampa Bay Lightning going against the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of great things going forward today. But now let's transition to baseball a little bit. And yesterday I got an alert on my phone saying that the Mets were losing 5-0. So I figured, okay, NBA Finals is getting a little slow. Let me turn it on. When I turned it on, I realized what was happening in front of me. It was about the 7th inning, and Chris Heston has not allowed a hit. So I figured, all right, I'll keep it on a little bit. Then the 8th inning comes. Hasn't given up a hit. And finally, he's in the 9th inning. I'm like, it's over. He threw a no-hitter. So
It's the Mets. As soon as you get to the 5th inning and there's no hitter going on, he's got it.
Absolutely, and definitely a great accomplishment for him. And as a rookie, congratulations.
Oh yeah.
And speaking as a Mets fan, it's like, I really wanted. Oh, sorry, I was looking at something. I really wanted.
I'm sorry, I was sending a tweet.
I was sending a tweet. It's one of those situations where, obviously you're a Mets fan. You want the team to do well. But at the same time, when you realize what's going on in front of your eyes, it's very special when the opposing crowd is cheering for you to throw a no-hitter against their team.
Mm-hmm.
When he struck out Tejada last night to complete the no-hitter, the place went nuts. Because
they're part of history.
They're a part of history. It was against your team, but you just saw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
You just witnessed.
When are you going to get to say that?
Exactly. When are you going to get to say that you saw a no-hitter? I almost saw one. The guy gave up a hit in the second inning. Well, there goes the perfect game. Oh, man. But it's like...
Time to go home.
Time to go home. But no, you're a part of history, and it's definitely something where it's something you'll never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from the circumstances of him being a rookie and, and the amount of history that a no-hitter has behind it. He's the 288th man to ever throw a no-hitter, 17th in franchise history for the Giants, second in Citi Field, first by an opposing pitcher, and he's the fourth San Francisco Giant in 4 years to throw a no-hitter. The others were Matt Cain, he threw a perfect game, and then two by Tim Lincecum. So to do it as a rookie is phenomenal, and everybody's like, I did it against the Mets. Like, so what? He could have done it against anybody.
Yep.
Could have did it against the Nationals. Could have did it against the Padres. Could have did it against the Yankees. Sean Martin. Could have did it against anybody, and it's one of those.
The Yankees have a great lineup. Who do the Mets have? No, I'm kidding.
If they could put a man on the moon, the Yankees could get no hit by a rookie.
They probably could.
One day. # one day. But when the ninth inning rolled around and I saw the order that the Mets had up, Tejada was up third. Oh, no. He was up fourth because the inning actually started with Campbell getting hit. No, Campbell struck out the inning before. Who got hit?
Me.
No, Recker. Recker led off the inning getting hit first pitch. So now right away, suspense is up. Runner on first, no outs. Strikes out the next three. I was actually hoping for him to strike out Tejada. I'm like, if there's any time I want him to strike out, it's right now.
Isn't Tejada like a crummy guy anyway?
Well, recently he's actually been doing really well with the Mets.
Okay.
I think in the last 9 or so games, his batting average has to be at least over 400.
Oh, he's the one you said him and Murphy have been your best hitters, right?
and Flores too. And Murph is now on the DL for at least for another week. But
wonderful.
More news in Mets though. Travis d'Arnaud expected to return from the DL tonight.
Good for him.
Good, thank God.
I felt bad for him. He was doing really well, and then he got hit by a pitch and broke his hand.
Yep. So he will be the first of many to come back from the DL.
First of many.
For this,
David Wright may not come back at all.
David Wright's coming back. We just don't know when. He's not going to retire.
He's not going to come. He's going to come back in 5 years.
David Wright is the type of guy that will make this worse than retire and not spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair, and you know that.
Tony Romo.
Exactly. What? But no, David Wright is that guy. He might take this year off. He might. He says he expects to play, but going off on experience, and
I'd be careful with that because that could just end.
And so would I. Especially if the Mets don't have a chance at the postseason. Hopefully, I won't know that until the end of August instead of the beginning of June.
Yeah,
but
it's already June.
Exactly. So
you're in first place still, right?
Yeah, still because the Nationals lost last night.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But the point is, I did research on the spinal stenosis thing, and a lot of websites were telling me a lot of different things. A lot of people were saying that this could be the end of the captain. He's done. And a lot of websites are saying he could be back in a few months. So, you don't know where the injury is going.
It depends on how bad it is.
You're right. And
just because that's like a weird thing.
The Mets medical staff, who, by the way, I don't trust to begin with, say they caught it early. They say they caught it early enough where they can do work and he can be back and possibly make a full recovery.
But everyone knows what the Mets medical staff is like.
Exactly. Have you been here since 2009?
It's like having me be a doctor.
It's like having me be a pilot. You're going to need a lot of doctors.
That's so messed up.
But you take a look at this. What are you doing?
You try to sign language without
Stop sign languaging me.
Speaking.
I'm like, I see 8, 9, 4. But now, and it's not even an injury, it's a disease when you take a look at it. It's not an injury.
Yeah.
So it's something that has to have professional help. It's something that David Wright can only rehab and only hope that he'll be back in a short period of time. I don't see it. At least the minimum after the All-Star break, he's going to be back. So
Yeah.
this Mets team has been fun to watch the last few weeks. They're so on and off.
It's the Bad News Bears. That's what I called Graham's little. No, it's not even little league. It's like the minor league team.
Really?
I went to watch them. Some kid hit a ground ball. Oh no, it wasn't even the game yet. They were warming up, and the kid throws a ground ball to some other kid on his team, and he fields it and throws it. And I thought I was gonna get hit with the ball. He just airmailed it over the kid's head. So Graham finishes the game. I go, dude. Your team looks like the Bad News Bears. And he goes, I know where you are. I'm like, that's sad.
At least he's seen the movie. It's unfortunate he probably doesn't understand it yet. He will. You see, it's
I quoted the Bad News Bears playing hockey over the weekend.
You see, it's funny, especially with movies like Bad News Bears and Major League and all those funny movies. You don't understand them until you get older.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're thinking, haha, it's funny. They're fighting in baseball, LOL, whatever. And then you
Never say LOL again.
all right. Then you become 16 and 15, 17 years old, and you realize what the inside jokes mean.
That could be me.
Oh, my God. Some of the one-liners in Bad News Bears, like the first 20 minutes of the movie, were hysterical. We watched it maybe not even a year ago. I couldn't stop laughing at it.
Oh, yeah, and Graham just stared at us.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you guys laughing at? We're just like, nothing.
We can't explain it to you. You're too much of a child.
Exactly.
Even though you were 7 at the time.
But
I think you were 7. I don't know.
one team that has been surprising me lately, and last week I said the same thing, they were more on and off with the Mets,
The
but
Houston Dynamo.
no. Houston we'll get to in a minute, but the Yankees have been shocking a lot of people, and we'll get to that when we come back from the break. In the meantime, you're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Back after this.
Hi, this is Ed Helvey, founder of Montclair State Radio way back in 1966. And you're listening to 90.3 FM WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Still the voice of Montclair State.
Makes you feel happy like an old-time movie. I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul.
Do you make music? Are you in a band? Or maybe you're a solo artist? Do you want more exposure? Look no further. Montclair State University's Underground Radio, 90.3 WMSC, is always looking to put new music on the air. So artists, listen up. If you would like to send your music to WMSC, you can send a digital copy to music@WMSCradio.com. Keep in mind that music with offensive language or content will be subjected to FCC regulations and censored if needed. Questions? Call the request line at 973-655-4256. So what are you waiting for? Send in your music to 90.3 WMSC now. And we're back on SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis here in the WMSC studios. Got about 30 minutes left in the show. Justin Frasco will be late today, so I will be throwing the station into autoplay at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. Justin will hopefully be here very soon. He told me he will be here as quick as possible, so whenever he's ready to start, he will be on. Hopefully it's not too long after 4 o'clock, but he wants me to throw an autoplay, so it might be a little while. So we have about another 30 minutes before we wrap up another week of SMC Sports. So, what was that?
I don't know.
So, going off the a lot of baseball in New York tonight. Mets will face off against the Giants again tonight. Matt Harvey gets the ball against Tim Hudson.
Here we go. 7 runs.
Where
Again.
Oh, what, on Matt Harvey?
Yep.
I don't think so.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh had a great
7 runs in 4 innings.
Pittsburgh had a great pitching series. That series, and ever since then they've been dominant.
Yep.
They were like
They woke up against the Mets.
Yeah, it was like those 3 games, and then the 2 games after that, the pitching was 5-0 and had an ERA of a little over 1.
That's crazy.
It's very crazy, and it was impressive as well. And I'm not taking anything away from that Pittsburgh team. They swept us easy, and the pitching was some of the reasons why. They were absolutely dominant against us. Yankees will finish up against the Nationals tonight. I believe I have the pitching stats in front of me. No, I didn't write them down. I have all the Mets stuff written down, though.
Boo. Favoritism.
It's not favoritism. It's just the fact that I was very tired last night, and I had
That
you.
you're a Mets fan.
No, because I had you on the show today, and I thought, okay, maybe you could provide some insight, but guess I was wrong.
Oh, blame it on me.
I will.
Blame it on the rookie.
You ain't no rookie.
Oh crap!
It
was an early game. It's 4-4.
Yeah, it was an early game. You do radio at Felicia College.
This is also true.
So, well, what's the updates on that Yankee game right now?
What do you mean by updates?
Like a 4-4, what inning?
4-4, top of the eighth.
Wow.
Two outs. Yankees have some guy named Lindgren pitching.
Lindgren.
And some guy named Moore is batting for the Nationals.
Okay, and trying to think for a minute. Okay, so
Espinosa hit a home run for the Nationals.
Espinosa. So the Mets will finish up their series with the Giants tomorrow. Then they will start a 3-game weekend series against Atlanta.
Brendan Ryan must have made a return today. He hit a triple today, which scored a run.
Nice. So a lot of other things to look forward to. Obviously, Stanley Cup Finals Game 4 tonight. Chicago Blackhawks hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning. Game 4 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Golden State Warriors. Cleveland up in their series 2-1. Tampa up in their series 2-1. Now, kind of transitioning a little bit to NHL for a little bit. Like what Mike Morreale said earlier, I feel this is where Chicago's got to wake up, especially because they have Game 4 on their home ice at the United Center in Chicago. You know how loud that place can get.
Yes, I do.
And he's right. You know, Taves and Kane have not been themselves the entire series. I don't think either of them have scored. Well, maybe Kane did, but I know Taves didn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could be wrong, and I probably am.
Watch the other one scored.
No, I know Taves didn't score.
Okay.
I know that, but
all I know is Kane didn't get a shot off in one of the games.
Might have been last night, actually, but or the other night. But Game 4 in Chicago was a must-win for the Blackhawks because, you know, Tampa has an 8-3 road record going into tonight. They could be 9-3. They don't necessarily have the best home record in the postseason. Ben Bishop does not play well at home. But if Tampa smells blood going up 3-1 and they have Game 5 at home, that is where I feel it's going to end. This is a must-win for Chicago tonight.
You're right.
I know I'm always right.
You're not always right. You were wrong about the Rangers. I will not let you live that down.
So were 20,000 fans who packed the Garden for Game 7.
You're one of them.
I didn't go to the Garden for Game 7. In fact, we had a viewing party at my house.
This is true.
We ate pizza and wings.
Our neighbors went and didn't get home until 1 o'clock.
You know why, too. They probably went to the bar right next to the Garden because, you know, there's got to be a million of them. And rightfully so. I would have did the same thing if I was of age, of course.
Yeah, okay. Never mind. We'll save that for another
We'll save
day.
that for off air. But no, and Tampa doesn't have the best home record. Ben Bishop, for whatever reason, I don't think has played well at home at all in the entire Stanley Cup postseason. But if Tampa gets Game 5 at home and they're leading 3-1, I feel the series is over.
That'll happen.
Yep, but it's a must-win for Chicago tonight. If Chicago can win tonight, Patrick Kane and Taves have to have a big game tonight. They have to. And you know what? And on the other side, so does Tyler Johnson.
Watch it be like a disappointing series, like the Rangers and Kings, and it goes to 5. It goes in 5 games, and Tampa Bay wins it in 5.
I don't think it wasn't as disappointing as you're saying because all 3 games in LA went to overtime. Game 5 went to double overtime. It was exciting. Game 3 was the only blowout where I was just
you just knew that the Rangers were going to lose all of them.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say games 1 and 2. Game 5, I did not think we were going to win, especially because we barely hung on in that first overtime. If it wasn't for Lundqvist, we would have been done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And, literally, I think it was St. Louis or Nash maybe had one breakaway in the first overtime, and that was it. Everything else,
I thought it was Kreider, and Kreider threw it over the net.
You're right, it was Kreider, and I really can't remember, but
I'm amazed that I remembered, and I hate the Rangers.
Well, it was a great overtime. Kings dominated time of possession. They literally, I think it was Rangers had maybe 30 seconds of possession.
You can tell me I'm wrong, but you could probably say that Kings didn't really have any difference in their team, that they probably would have been a favorite to go to the Cup this year if they made the playoffs. Because they would have been the 8 again.
And then they definitely would have went.
Then they went to they were in last year as the 8.
Exactly. And
they barely got into the playoffs.
But you're right. And you take a look at that series, and it's like literally that whole overtime, the Kings dominated at least 19 minutes of the 20 minutes worth of possession. I personally believe that because it was so one-sided, and it was just like, literally, it was just
you
all.
Cried.
I wasn't crying. I was actually sick. So
you were throwing up at their performance.
I was dealing with the first stages of bronchitis right before graduation.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yep. So
I had. You weren't your valedictorian.
So oh god. So I had the fever and the sore.
First day of Christmas.
So I had the fever and the sore throat all during that series. It was literally right after finals ended, and that all ended right before graduation. And then the coughing was just for like 3 weeks. It literally led up until 4th of July weekend. It was terrible. I hated my life.
Yeah, no, I could hear you from my house going, "Mom, I think I'm dying."
It wasn't that bad.
It's over. Just put me down now. Did we get a discount if I go with Teddy?
Oh, that was not funny. I love Teddy. Rest in peace. But going back on anything else before I have to kill you, the Kings Rangers series I didn't think was that. And he's laughing. The Kings and Rangers series I didn't think was as disappointing as you think it was because all 3 games in LA went to overtime. All 3 were exciting. Game 4 in the Garden was exciting, especially because you thought that the Rangers were going to give it up at the end and eventually did not. Because I was like, come on! But no, they didn't give it up at the end. Game 5 I thought was very exciting. Lundqvist blocked every shot until he couldn't save anymore.
Except for the game winner.
Because you know what? He blocked a shot that rebounded. And by the time
happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And by the time he saw the puck, it was way too late. So, but this series between the Blackhawks and the I almost said the Kings, the Blackhawks and the Lightning, I feel could be one of the best in history. Only for the facts that, just the way it's even, and the Blackhawks going with their experience, and the Lightning come in with, just the way that they've been playing in the entire postseason, especially on the road. And you look at guys like Tyler Johnson and Patrick Kane who have been dominating for their respective teams. And, it's just one of those situations where you can definitely see this being a very competitive Stanley Cup final, possibly going to 7.
Yeah, it could possibly go to 7. I think it will go to 7. And Tampa Bay is the home team, I believe. So I think they'll win it.
That I would definitely bank on. If I see the Blackhawks winning the series, they see it in 6. Because I can't see the Blackhawks winning.
So you think that they'll win? Oh no, they don't have. Yeah, they'd have to win 3 straight games.
Yeah, I could see it happening.
You think Chicago will win 3 in a row? You
have Game 4 at home.
Okay.
Game 5 in Tampa. You've won in Tampa already.
And Game 6 in Tampa as well.
No. You have game.
No.
Game 6 in Chicago.
In Chicago.
So think of it this way: you have Game 4 tonight in Chicago.
Yeah, so 3 games is actually plausible. You have 2 home games and 1
game
road.
that I personally think Chicago is going to win.
I think they'll win.
You have Game 5 in Tampa. Chicago has won there already in the finals, and then you have Game 6 in Chicago. I think it could be pulled off.
I think it could. Now,
but for that to happen, Taves and Johnson, or not Taves and Kane have to wake up.
Yep.
And they have to shut down Johnson. They have to shut down Stamkos. They basically have to dominate possession in the Tampa Bay zone.
Paquette doesn't get into the middle of the ice for a wide open shot.
They have to dominate possession in Tampa zone, actually in all zones for that matter. And it's a situation where they literally just have to shut down the Tampa Bay Lightning if they want to win the Cup. It's 44 minutes past the hour. We're going to take a quick break on SMC Sports. We'll wrap up when we come back from the break. Just a little review of everything, MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this. Every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., tune into my show, SMC Sports, right here on 90.3 WMSC, or online at WMSCradio.com, or on the Live 365 app. Join me, Sean McChesney, as I discuss the latest and greatest sports topics across the country, ranging from the professionals to right here for Montclair State Athletics. I will be covering everything, including the MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, and much, much more. Also, do not forget to follow the show on Twitter at SMC Sports WMSC. Kick back, relax, and make sure to listen to SMC Sports every Wednesday from 1 to 4 right here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Stay tuned for more. All right, we're back. SMC Sports right here on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis in the studios. About another 15 minutes, we will wrap up. Justin Frasca is running a little late, so not exactly sure when tropical storms will kick off for this week. But I believe he will be here. It's just a matter of when and how. So, 3:48 p.m., and we will be wrapping up in a few minutes. But just to kind of recap the show a little bit, we kicked off the show with 2 hours worth of music. We had NHL talk from about 1 to 1:30. We had Alex Hand come in for a lot of NFL insight, which both of us definitely, I think, needed after the last few weeks of just NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Finals. It's just a lot.
Nice to talk about something different.
Yeah, and definitely nice to talk about something very different. And just the fact that we had Mike Morreale, staff writer for NHL.com, on with us, and just as the and now they're trying to test out the phones here, and as they're calling. So real quick, we're gonna take a quick break here on SMC Sports just so we can have the engineers test out their thing, or test out the phones. We will be right back. And we're back on SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Tom Davis in the studios. We apologize for that quick break. Phone lines have been down all day. I think they're pretty much back in order. Shout out to Adam and Mike once again fixing the phones for us. So about 5 minutes left in the show. So just kind of to finish the recap of the show, we discussed a lot of NHL, a lot of NFL, which I think we both needed after countless weeks of Stanley Cup playoffs and NBA playoffs, and the beginning of the MLB season. It was nice to finally get back into football a little bit.
Change of pace.
But yeah, exactly. We had Mike Morreale, NHL.com staff writer, on with us. Gave us a lot of great insight on what he expects with the finals going forward. We discussed a lot of MLB, a lot of things going on, especially last night. Chris Heston's no-hitter. Again, congratulations. Even though it was against the Mets, I was still happy to see it.
Yep.
This was the first one I think I've seen, because I missed Johan's no-hitter by about a few minutes. So
I saw it.
I mean, I was hearing about it, but I didn't necessarily catch it in time. You know, it was really funny. My cousin was at a Sweet 16 party for his cousin, and it was at like Passaic Valley Firehouse, and their house is just like a few blocks down, and they heard about the no-hitter going on, and they bolted down like 3 blocks to get to the house and turn on the game, and they caught it just in time. So that's the typical Mets fans for you. You know, we need to see history. And you know what's funny? 2012 was probably one of our worst seasons ever.
Mm-hmm.
But so we did a lot of that. We discussed a lot of NBA Finals. Game 4 will be tomorrow night in Cleveland. Cavaliers versus the Warriors. Cleveland up 2-1. Which I thought was very shocking.
I wouldn't have expected
I did not expect Cleveland to go up 2-1, but, you know, with the way LeBron has been playing and the way Tristan Thompson has been playing, you know, it could have been expected a few weeks ago or a week ago when we were talking about NBA Finals. I thought, honestly, when Kyrie Irving went down, Golden State was going to have this sweep easy.
Yep.
And now they're down 2-1. So
I think the nerves are starting to get to them.
Yeah, I could agree on that, as I was just playing with the computer a little bit. The nerves, they feel, are getting to him because they're a very inexperienced team when it comes to the NBA Finals.
Everybody's still young. The only person that's like a veteran on that team is probably Barbosa, Iguodala, and I can't think of anybody else really.
No,
and probably Bogut.
You've nailed it right on, because especially with the fact that, you know, Cleveland does have a little bit of experience in the playoffs. You know, LeBron is really the only one in this whole thing with NBA Finals experience. He's not very successful in it, 2-3 all time. But, you know, this is his 5th straight final, 6th all time. You can't fault, you know, and you know what? He might not have had some great series, like especially his first one against San Antonio, and then Dallas, and then another one against San Antonio. But He has
just
the
can't
experience.
beat them Spurs.
He has the experience, and you know what? If Cleveland wins this series, it will be his best accomplishment of his career.
Yep.
And not only that, we discussed a little American Pharaoh. For those of you who have been living under a rock, American Pharaoh, the first horse in 37 years to win the Triple Crown last Saturday, won the Belmont. And it was definitely something very special that we haven't seen in our lifetime. So it was very nice to actually finally witness the Triple Crown, especially for like our parents and our grandparents' sakes. Finally excited to see it again. So we had a great show today, Tom. I appreciate you coming on. Really,
It was fun.
really do. Alex Hand, who's driving up to Columbia to see his girlfriend. God bless.
What a trooper.
God bless. Thank you for coming on as well. Sean, thank you for calling in as always. So we are going to wrap up SMC Sports now. Justin Frasca will be in today. I don't know what time. He asked me to shut off the unit, so we'll see what time he comes in. But you have been listening to SMC Sports. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.